All right, welcome to the lounge, episode 20. Once again, I'm joined by Dory and James, and today we have a loaded episode where we're going to talk about Barbenheimer. We're going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and we're going to talk about a bunch of games. We're going to talk about Bookwalker, Thief of Tales. We're going to talk about Venba, the Expanse, Telltale, Pikmin 4, and then we're going to have our second discussion topic, which I won't say now. We'll talk about it later. And Baldur's Gate 3, which Dory and I both equally put 15 hours into. So we have a lot to say.
I thought you were way ahead of me, so that's good.
Well, I haven't played in like a couple days.
You still might be way ahead of me. I don't know.
Yeah.
You still might be ahead of me. I don't know, because everybody can play so different. But yeah, cool.
Awesome. So let's start with Barbenheimer. So Barbenheimer, if whoever doesn't know, is both movies came out at the same day. So everybody did like the Animal Crossing Doom Eternal thing, where like they made it like a double feature. So a lot of people want to see the movies back to back. Obviously, Barbie's been like a box office like monster. I think it's like gonna hit $1 billion. But obviously, and Oppenheimer is probably gonna be like more of the Oscar winner. But I think Barbie's gonna get a lot of nominations for a lot of things too, especially like set design and things like that. But we'll talk about that. So let's actually start with Barbie. What did you guys think about Barbie? So we'll start with James.
Well, first off, I just want to say, like,
yeah,
the hype, especially on release day, that on the 21st of July, the hype and everything was ridiculous. I mean, some people actually showed up to the Barbie screening that I went to in a bright pink stretched Hummer. I think I mentioned to you guys last week.
Yeah, you did.
Which, fantastic. I respect the commitment. But yeah, I did the double feature. I was there day one. And yeah, we're starting with Barbie. I mean, what's to say? It's a masterpiece. It really is. It's funny. It's witty. It doesn't pull any punches. There's a lot of emotional weight to it as well. There are some criticisms to be made. I think that it feels kind of corporate. There are a few kind of sponsorships in there, and there's a couple of like there's a bit with a car brand that's kind of like very much like it feels like you're watching a car advert.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff like that, but on the whole, I think it's easy to ignore that stuff because the movie's just so funny and well written, and yeah, I mean it's just really well put together.
Yeah, so Dory, what'd you think?
Yeah, pretty similar thoughts. Out of the three movies that we're going to talk about today, Barbie's my lowest, but that's not saying much because these are all great movies. All the movies we're going to talk about today. I can't get over how stacked this summer is. This has got to be one of the best summer to see movies that I've seen in a long time. I've movies seen that actually interest.
Yeah.
What?
I'd say this is probably the most movies I've watched in a summer in a long time.
Yes, that too. Yeah. I really liked Barbie. I thought my favorite thing about it was just how it deftly combined being silly but being poignant, not taking itself too seriously, but also not failing to get its message out there and just say how it felt. There's definitely moments in the movie where I felt like I was definitely being like talked to in like a very social commentary way, but that's fine. Obviously, I expected that from the Barbie movie, given all the media and marketing that we've gotten. So it's not like I wasn't okay with that. I agree with James that there's definitely some criticisms. I mean, literally, the car commercial that he's talking about, I actually saw a few times, and it's taken right from the movie. So I think it's like a Hyundai or something.
Yeah.
But I also agree it's easy to overlook that stuff. I don't expect a Barbie movie of all things to be free of corporate stuff, and it lambasts corporations just as much as not just as much, probably more than it includes them, which I think is nice. Will Ferrell is a treasure, as he always is. Sorry, Kim. Yeah, Kim doesn't like Will Ferrell.
She's right.
And she's super wrong. But Will Ferrell was a treasure here. I really liked it. I liked that they really spotlighted that a lot of the people behind Barbie at this point. See? She's right there. Kim, how do you feel about Will Ferrell? Yeah. See, bad take.
There's pickle, ketchup.
Thanks, Kim. But anyway, she makes a mean dinner, so I'll forget whatever.
It's fine.
But yeah, it was a really good film. I laughed a good amount. I think my favorite part is where Margot Robbie's character said that I'm not pretty anymore. I'm not stereotypically pretty anymore. And then Helen Mirren, the narrator, is like, note to the director, if you want to make this point, please do not cast Margot Robbie in the lead role. Which is so funny because it felt like it felt like a response to the trolls who have been saying Margot Robbie isn't attractive or pretty or whatever online, or that she's mid or something. I don't even care about that discussion a lot, and it's stupid. But it felt like a kind of like response to that. But I know it couldn't have been planned, so I don't know what they were cooking. But it's a great film. I had a really great time. Kim had a great time too. Yeah.
I like that bit a lot. That was one of my favorite jokes. And there's a lot of great jokes in there. There's it's wall to wall really. I don't want to spoil them all because I know we're not doing spoilers here. But yeah, what do you think, Seb?
Oh, I thought it was really good. It's my least favorite movie of the three, obviously, but that's not saying much. They're all great, and one thing I really liked about this movie was like the uniqueness of it, like the way the set design of the Barbie world was like amazing. Like I really like that should win an Oscar. I think like everything was just like it looks so good. That was like that looked all like pre-built. Like I mean built. Like that looked. There were a lot CGI or anything like that.
There was a lot of talk before the film even came out that like I think they were filming on the Warner Brothers lot. And other films that were shooting there, like during lunch breaks and stuff, the cast would all go to the Barbie set for other like people who were working on other films, and just hang out there because it was such a fun place to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can really you can tell why.
Definitely, and I like that like it didn't just do like the fish out of water trope where like with this movie easily could just been like, oh, a character goes into the real world like another Enchanted or something. And there's like a lot of oohs and ahs and jokes about her not fitting in. Like it kind of gets away from that like 10 minutes in. Like I mean not 10 minutes in, but like 10 minutes into that like section of the movie. It kind of just does it, and then she goes back. Well, I'm not gonna say why, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I like that it doesn't just go for that like. That could have been an easy, because a lot of these movies that like do like a adaptation or something always go for like that fish out of water thing where like, oh, this is the real world, and let me and then half the movie is just like jokes about that, and it's like, but this movie totally does that differently.
I think it's like 30 minutes in that like it starts to go in a direction, and you start to realize kind of where it's going, and it's so clever, and man, like not to diminish anyone else's performance because the film is full of great performances, but Ryan Gosling does not phone it in.
Oh, I think he stole. I think he stole the show from me. I think he was the best character. Like I didn't expect to like sympathize with Ken and like really understand why he did what he did. I like the movie about feminism really became about like Ken, like how he felt, like which was ironic. But it also did a great job talking about feminism too. Where like not like where it's on the nose, like constant. Like it tells like a lot of it hits on a lot of issues without like punching you in the face about it. Like it does it in a good like a smart writing way, I think.
Well, like, and any time that I felt like I was being, the part the court scene room where one of the characters says that they can be emotional and reasonable at the same time. I definitely felt like that I was directly being talked to by the movie in that part. But there's nothing I disagreed with, and it made total sense, and it was portrayed in like a very like reasonable way. It's like I can be emotional and I can have reason. So yeah, I totally agree. Even when the movie did talk directly to its audience, I didn't think it was saying anything that was wrong or super controversial anyway. And B, it was usually done pretty well.
What I love about it is how it does such a great job of balancing viewpoints. Like it's not like it has messages and it has themes, but it doesn't give you those from a single perspective. You know,
Yeah.
it takes so many different perspectives into account.
No, totally. Barbie and Ken both have equal like motivation and equal like you can understand why they did what they did and things like that. Like I really like that's what made Ken. I mean, he wasn't really a villain. I mean, I guess he was the antagonist of the movie, but like in a way, but like it was totally. Ironically, I haven't sympathized with like a villain since like Thanos. I totally understand everything he did. So yeah, I really, and then his song at the end was like great, and like he's probably gonna sing that on stage at the Oscars, I'd imagine. It's probably,
He better.
Yeah, so
I've had
was
it on
amazing.
repeat. It's really good. It's brilliant.
But I love like the just like the surrealism of everything, like just the fact like when she wakes up, everybody waves at her, and it's like constant. Hi Barbie, hello. You know, it's like constant. It's really funny, and then I just love like the existential crisis she has when she wakes up, and she's just like tired of that shit. And then like I love like when they transition to like to the real world, and they're just doing crazy things like skiing. Like I was like riding on a rocket ship, and then like when Ken goes back, like he's by himself, just hanging onto the rocket ship.
Yeah.
or when they're driving and the car just like flips in the air, and we just accept it that that's just okay.
It's like
it's just it doesn't try to like, it knows it's goofy and has fun with it.
Yeah, like they build the humor off of the setting and like off of the Barbie-ness of everything so well. Like it would have been so easy to write a script where it's Barbie, but like there's a fart joke here, or you know, something, and it's like it doesn't necessarily incorporate
Yeah.
the fact that it's Barbie, but like everything builds so well off of that fact, and like uses the source material so well.
Yeah.
And it works so well.
Definitely.
I won't spoil it, but the last joke or last scene before the credits, like literally made me like guffaw, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Like a very it undermines your expectations of what's happening so perfectly in such a great on point, on theme way.
Yeah. I was thinking of that too, but I didn't want to like say what the joke
I'm not
was.
I'm not gonna spoil what it was, but
Yeah.
this movie is top to bottom filled with really funny, really clever jokes that work more often than not.
Yeah.
And just an awesome acting job by pretty much everybody. I really didn't feel like there was a weak one by the bunch. I mean, I even felt like with the teenage character, like she was well moderated in her sort of pessimism or cynicism about what was going on. Like she got a couple lines about it here and there that seemed corporate, that seemed clever and like well designed. And my favorite thing is when she said "white savior Barbie." Love that. That was great. But yeah,
no, when she
so,
the
like
one
they did everything well.
when she I'll say like just a little spoiler, like when she calls Barbie a fascist, I was like I was cracking up. I was just like,
I know, I was too. I didn't expect her to call her that. I was like, did she just call her a fascist? That's amazing.
yeah.
And that's like it's like
Go ahead.
that it's like how they make the humor as well out of the subversion of what you expect a Barbie movie to be,
Yes,
and like
definitely.
and that kind of thing.
Because they easily could have made that teenage daughter like a one-dimensional teenager with attitude, and she's gonna change at the end thing, and it kind of it fits really well though. Also, this movie does the it kind of reminded me of Toy Story 2, where about growing up and like you abandon your toys. Like that's what like Barbie feels like she feels like.
Yes,
I immediately I was hearing the song from Toy Story 2 from what's her name, Sarah McLachlan, from like Toy Story 2, like that scene with Jessie and everything. Like that, it was literally that, but like, and I really liked. I'm glad they didn't cut it out. I really like the scene where she sees the old lady for the first time, and she just smiles at her. I love that scene where she just sits on the bench and just like absorbs everything around her, like with the kids playing and stuff. Like that was really good. Like this movie had no business being as good as it was, overall.
I agree.
Honestly,
and even when all the hype had happened and before that, I wasn't super interested in seeing the movie. I mean, I never played with Barbies as a kid. I've never been interested in them. It's not really something that's ever caught on with me or anybody really I knew. So it's something I knew secondhand, but honestly, I mostly knew about it through, going back to Toy Story. I mostly knew about it through commercials and through like culture and movies and stuff. So I really had no interest in seeing this, but I still had a great time, despite all those barriers to entry. So that's how good of a film it is. If you love Barbie, I mean, you're probably going to love this even more. I think the one other thing I want to highlight about this movie that's great is they really try to hit home. They do the whole Spider-Man thing, right? Anybody can put on the mask, anybody can be Barbie, right? They make it very clear that Margot Robbie's character is just stereotype Barbie. She's not the Barbie. She's not the only Barbie.
Yeah,
There's
they're all
many different
Barbies.
kinds of Barbies that you can be. They even have a Barbie in a wheelchair, which I thought was really cool. I didn't expect that kind of inclusiveness from a Barbie film. But yeah, they had that, and obviously, the president of Barbie World's a black woman. I mean, there's a lot of really good inclusion and diversity in this film. One of the main cast is a trans woman, and that never gets commented on. I don't even remember who the trans woman is, but it doesn't really matter because she's a Barbie as well, and so that's really great. She's never commented on, never made anything out of. She's just there. She just lives. She exists. She's friends with all the other people. As far as Ryan Gosling and Ken and all that stuff, I thought it was great. Obviously, the movie's really about horses if you think about it. And and he was awesome. He was incredible. I love him, and he's in this really really good buddy cop comedy in like 2016. I forget what it's called off the top
The
of my head,
Nice
but it's
Guys.
on Netflix. Yes, The Nice Guys, and I actually watched that a few months ago. Not even in preparation for this, but just because me and a couple of friends were trying to figure out what to watch. And he's just got such an excellent deadpan comedic style that I love so much. I totally agree with Seb. All of his motivations made a lot of sense, and I think he was just a really, really well written character. Which, again, I don't really know what I was expecting out of this movie, but not this.
Yeah, the casting was brilliant, and it's they play the roles so well in the like the place that they're coming from, where everything's perfect, and like everyone has one job. Ken's job is beach, and
Yes.
and like they play it so well coming from there, but also like these characters are not, ironically, not plastic dolls. Like they have
Did
depth,
Did you all
right?
see the meme where they they posted the characters of Lost and said their job is beach?
I did not, but
Oh
No.
my god, I laughed so hard. I've only seen like the first two seasons, but I lost it so much. I
I
thought that was so funny.
I also got to shout out Michael Cera's character of Alan, like which is
Yes,
like Ken's
yes,
best friend, like that's like forgotten basically. Uh,
yeah, that's
like
so good.
Michael Cera is always hilarious to me because he's just like he always plays the same character in every movie, but it always works. So
He's like in his 30s at this point, but he doesn't look like it at all, and B, his acting is so good that you could be fooled into thinking that he shouldn't be there on set and that he's not supposed to be there, and he wandered off like on set, and they just decided to roll with it anyway.
yeah,
It's just incredible how good he is at this one particular thing, and
yeah,
it somehow has not, at least
that
for me, not.
fight scene was really funny.
Yes, that was excellent too.
Yeah, yeah.
the
Go ahead.
the thing I want to point out as we just kind of transition onto Oppenheimer, right?
Yep.
Is I feel like I had this really bizarre experience where, so I went to see both the films with three of my friends, and we all, because we saw Barbie second, and we all walked out of Barbie kind of unanimously agreeing that Barbie was the better film of the two. Um, and then I go on the internet in the preceding days, and that does not seem like the popular opinion at all. It seems like more
It's
people think
not.
Oppenheimer was better.
No, I
Yeah,
thought Oppenheimer was
I'd have to
better.
agree
Yeah.
with that. I don't think it's by much, to be fair. I don't think Oppenheimer blows away the competition, so to speak. But I do think it is the better movie. We'll get into why in a
Yeah.
second. But I mean, Barbie's still a really great film, and I'd recommend it to anybody. These are just like, to me, this is like the difference between like a, out of five, like a 4 and a or 4.25 out of in a 4.5. Like it's splitting hairs. I
Yeah.
think they're both really great films.
So let's actually transition to Oppenheimer now.
I do want to
Yeah, go really
kind
quick.
of
Yep.
preface the discussion and
Yeah.
just say like, I might be overly negative towards Oppenheimer because I love it. I thought it was a great film, but I do have some glaring issues. I'll get
I
to
do
it.
have issues with the movie. I mean, first of all, I wasn't a big fan of the length, like, cause like I think once we got to like the last like the last section of the movies where it started to be like, I'm not really into this as much as I was. Like I felt like the whole build up was to like the bomb scene, and then after
Yeah.
that it kind of
There's still an hour of film after.
yeah, and like I'm not saying it floundered, but it didn't have it didn't I just didn't feel like as good as that first half, like in my opinion anyway. Like the whole
Yeah,
scene,
like,
the whole drama at Robert Downey Jr. just didn't really. I'm not saying it didn't work. It just didn't. It didn't like interest me as much as like the first half of the movie. Is what I'm saying. The drama.
Yeah, I mean, I
agree.
also found it. I found the drama that ensued with his character also very
It is,
like. I think it's very easy to put together what happened earlier. Spoilers feel weird because this is a historical biopic, but you know, it feels obvious what's going on from the start of the film. That didn't bother me a lot because sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer. I mean, it made sense for what happened. But I mean, when the twist happened, or I don't even know if you would call it a twist, but you know, the reveal happened. I was like, well, yeah, obviously, no one else had like the motivations here. They obviously didn't get on, and it makes sense. I will say about the length. I thought I am one of those people. I mean, I didn't like look at TikTok or anything with audio, but I did look at my phone a couple of times. ADHD is just difficult to deal with when you're watching a 3-hour movie, but also no one was really in the theaters besides like two old people. So, but I know there's like a whole internet discourse about like you shouldn't go see 3-hour long movies if you can't not get out your phone. Um, but anyway, I thought this was the fastest 3 hours of my life in terms of like really good pacing for me anyway. I don't usually watch long movies, but I felt like every scene felt so measured and cut up really, really well and edited so well, and it just felt like for me that the movie kind of flew.
yeah.
I definitely there were some slower parts, and definitely at times I did feel the length, especially once the bomb finally did go off.
Yeah.
But overall, I was really pleased with the pacing.
Yeah, the movie was. I think the pacing was good. My problem, I thought my biggest problem with the movie was just like the uneven narrative. Like, I Nolan just. I don't. Sometimes I don't like Nolan. Like he likes to like mix scenes up. Or like he does. It's not like straightforward. He jumps around a lot, and
Yeah.
like and it felt
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean,
little. It
Memento.
started to feel a little uneven to me at times.
Yeah.
Like his movies
Yeah.
his movies can get a little confusing because he jumps around a lot. Like I wasn't confused, but I was just like I wish he kind of just stuck to like a straightforward, more straightforward narrative. I felt like he was jumping around black and white and back to this,
Yeah,
back to
and
this.
that's the thing with me, right? It's
Yeah.
like with Nolan's films, and he does this so much. To me, it feels unnecessary to the point of being pretentious, even where he's trying to. He cuts his movies in such a way where you have to constantly try and keep track of everything, and it feels so not what this story needed. Like, and even Nolan's best film, and maybe this is why I'm not a huge Nolan fan, but his best films, I mean, his best film is The Dark Knight, in my opinion,
Right.
and that's a very popular opinion.
It's
But I think-
his most highly rated movie too. So
yeah,
it's the
and
consensus.
I think the reason that is his best film, personally, is that it's a linear narrative. Like he doesn't do this thing where he does in so many of his films where he tries to mess with, timelines and confuse the audience. Like it's just straightforward, just a good film. And
I agree.
I think it hurts this film more than it helps. The fact that it's like cut up into 4 different timelines that run parallel, and you have to like
Yeah.
try. You get a scene from the start, and then a scene from 3/4 of the way through, like right
Right.
next to each other, and it's like it not only hurts the pacing, like you said, in the fact that like everything feels like it's building up to the end of the second act, and
Yeah.
then it goes on for an hour after that.
Yeah.
But like it's just it makes it feel unnecessarily complicated. And like I don't mind complicated films, but it feels like there isn't a need for it.
I totally agree. I mean, I just watched the whole Batman trilogy from Nolan like last month, and those movies were very straightforward, like you said, very linear, like beginning to end. Like, and then ever since like I don't know, it was like not Interstellar. The time, what's the one with Leonardo DiCaprio? Forgetting
Inception.
the name. Inception. Ever since then, his movies have gotten very like complicated because by that point he was like one of the premier directors.
Well,
So
I mean,
I feel like he
wrote
has.
Memento. Memento was doing that before. And
Sure,
Inception
sure.
did that, right?
Actually, I mean, even his first film, Following, does that. Like it jumps
okay.
around time. Like he's done that since his very first film.
He's done,
Like
but
this
especially
is
now
the
though.
Sniper. This is like the gun meme where like someone's pointing a gun behind someone else's face, and there's someone else behind there, and there's a sniper over there. Anyway, sorry.
But like I know that, but that's really my biggest negative. Like other than that, like obviously this movie was phenomenal.
Yes.
The casting was absolutely phenomenal. I think
I love Cillian Murphy a lot.
Yeah, I think I could definitely. I'd be shocked if he doesn't win Best Actor or at least get. He's gonna get nominated, but that was such a perfect. I know Nolan always likes to pick the same people in his movies, but that was such a great choice. I've always been a big fan of Cillian Murphy, and like ever since like 28 Days Later, he looks just like Oppenheimer, like just like him. Like you just believe that it was him the entire time. And you know what's funny about Oppenheimer is you would think he's like a foreign guy, like you think he's from like Europe or something like that, and he's like straight up American. But it just the way he talks, I guess, like the way he presents himself. I was always thinking like, am I hearing an accent or something? But he just has like he has a unique voice.
He really does.
Yeah. But
I thought.
Go ahead.
I thought this was like expertly casted as well. I mean, I've loved Cillian Murphy. He was great in Batman Begins. He was great in Breakfast on Pluto. He was great in like you said, 28 Days Later. I mean, he's a really good actor. I've watched him in a couple of Irish films as well that escape me at the moment, but he's excellent in those as well. Yeah, he's just a tremendous actor, and the supporting cast is terrific as well. I mean, everybody just knocks it out of the park in such a way. I think my biggest criticism with the movie, and this should be no surprise given it's a Nolan film, the sound mixing and the lack of subtitles. I know that they provide devices and stuff at certain viewings and stuff like that, but that's kind of cumbersome. I don't understand like this fascination with making it difficult to understand characters and how that supposedly adds gravitas. To me, that's the most pretentious thing. It's like, I want to hear what these characters are saying. I'm invested in your world, invested in the characters. Why wouldn't you make it more audible? And sometimes it's simply a language barrier or a accent thing, right? I even had that in Spider-Verse, right, when Spider-Punk was saying various things. Sometimes I couldn't make out what he was saying just because he has a very thick accent. But this new trend of not mixing the sound well enough so that you can understand the characters just really frustrates me, and I don't understand its purpose or why it's there. Maybe it's to sell streaming where you can do closed captions, or maybe it's just a dumb. Yeah, it's like that thing in metal where it's like they blast all the audio until like you can't hear any of the bass or anything. I forget what that's called. Yeah, that was my biggest problem with it. I do have other smaller nitpicks, but my biggest problem was just sound mixing, which wasn't a huge issue. Most of the time I could understand what characters were saying, but every now and then it'd be like, why did that character do that?
It wasn't like Tenet bad. Like that movie, I was disappointed with that movie.
But the difficulty here, I mean, comparing it to Spider-Verse, where, you know, like, okay, sometimes you miss something that character says, like you do in a lot of movies, but the difficulty here especially is like you miss some seriously critical plot points, like through the fact that you can't understand what they're saying, to the point where like I actually feel like I need to, and I'm going to go and see the film again with captions, because there's a theater near me that's doing a caption screening. I'm going to go and see that just so I can try and figure out, make sure I know exactly what happens in the film, because I really feel like there's some stuff that I missed just through the fact that like I couldn't understand it, and also, as we mentioned already, like it feels like Nolan just tries to confuse the audience for some reason.
Especially when like there's 4 timelines going on, and if you miss one section, you're not going to understand what happened 25 minutes later in that section again when it jumps back to that timeline. It got confusing.
That's the thing as well. It's not even, the difficulty is not even trying to keep track of which part of the film that you're in
Yeah.
at any given time. Like, that's easy. Like, between the black and white and
you
like,
can tell. Yeah.
You can tell, right? But the difficulty is trying to keep track of how it all intersects.
Yeah.
Right? Like, trying to keep track of, like, okay, this is important because of something that this character said earlier in the film, which is actually from like 5 minutes after this bit that we're watching now, and it's like, oh yeah, it's needless, and I could go on about it forever, but it's a big issue.
I think this movie did a great job portraying the like McCarthyism of like the fear of communism and all that things. Like, I think it portrayed like how Americans felt at the time really well. How like they stereotype people and discriminate against people for like
even
being a proposed communist and things like that.
Yeah, even the people in that little council thing. I think at one point towards the latter part of the film, this is like minor dialogue, but they were like, did you think about bringing it to McCarthy? He's like, no, completely ruin our credibility if we did that. I brought it to blah, blah, blah. So instead, just like a little line of being like, as popular as like the Red Scare was, like a lot of people still knew that McCarthy in particular was just being ridiculous.
Right.
I think the politics of this movie is, generally really, really good. I don't know if anyone's gotten the point of this movie, but bombs are bad, actually.
No, this whole movie is a warning. Yeah. It ends in a bleak,
for sure,
very bleak ending. This entire movie from start to finish was a warning.
That's why you watch. That's why you watch Oppenheimer first, and then you watch Barbie. I know it's a tangent, but I think that's why you do one and then the other. Also, you watch both because you stay for the. You come for the entertainment and you stay for the cinema, right?
Well, fortunately, we survived the atomic bombs of the Cold War, because obviously it ends before that.
So it worked out.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, right. I mean, we came close, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, but other than that, fortunately, even though it ended on a dark note, like we're fine so far. But you never know, like with Ukraine going on, the Russia-Ukraine thing going on. But but this whole movie was a warning. Like, he is called the father of the atomic bomb, and he hates that title, and a lot of bad things happen to him throughout the movie. Like, it's actually it's not just like a dark movie because it's about atomic bombs. It's a dark movie because a lot of bad things happen to him. Like with the first woman he was with. I don't want to spoil the movie, so I won't say. But there's a lot of things happen to him at the end, and like if I remember correctly, like historically, after everything he obviously regrets being part of building that atomic bombs. Although if it wasn't him, it was gonna be somebody else at some point anyway. But either way, he retired like he stayed under the radar pretty much the rest of his life. He didn't want to be he never wanted to be known associated with being the father of the atomic bomb. I mean, obviously that's the most dangerous weapon in human history, like, right? Like it can wipe everybody out instantly. So this movie did an amazing job hitting that message, I think. And I can understand why you should watch Barbie after, I guess, because it lightens you up. Because if you watch Barbie first, which is what I watch Barbie after, but if you watch Barbie first, you get all happy, and then you go into Oppenheimer, and it's like, nope,
depression.
yeah. So
look, here's my take on the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's like the film does touch on a lot of themes, and it does it well.
Yeah,
important themes and stuff like that, but I don't think there is anything this film touches on that couldn't have been done better by another director. Like, there are the horror aspects of this story, the fear and everything of what they created and stuff that could have been handled better by a horror director. There are the emotional aspects to Robert Oppenheimer's story that could have been handled better by somebody who does traditional dramas, right? Because I think what Nolan does best is create spectacle, and in this film he does create spectacle. You know, all the tension, the way the tension rises in the lead up to that atomic bomb test, brilliant, absolutely the best part of the movie for me. But everything else,
Right.
to
I
me,
agree.
feels like it was good, but it could have been done better by another director who's better at that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the Trinity scene was the peak of the movie. Like everything was building up to that moment, and I feel like you could have ended the movie with that, and then that would have been a lot better. I mean, like I said, after that it was still good, but like I think everything building up to the Trinity scene was just like that whole scene that was incredible. Like the tension, the build up, the pacing. It was just like it was absolutely perfect. And obviously, and then I was too bad he actually didn't get his hands on an actual nuke. Cause you could tell it was an explosion.
Yeah.
But, so
That was
I'm
the
not
thing
saying it was
about it.
disappointing, but I could tell it wasn't really a nuke. Obviously, he can't get a nuke, but you get what I'm saying. Like you can kind of tell it was
I
like
love that
It's-
when he was like, we went as practical as we could for a nuclear bomb, and everyone's like, you did what, bro?
you could tell it was like TNT or whatever. But it's fine. It's fine.
I respect his reversion to CGI. I really do.
No, I do.
I
I'm not
mean,
saying it's
I'm
bad. but-
practical effects all the way, but it is a little underwhelming. Like you're expecting a
Yeah.
nuclear explosion,
That's not what a nuke looks like. Yeah.
and it's not. But yeah, it's still good. It's still
Oh,
handled
yeah.
well.
Absolutely incredible. Like I said, the first half of the movie was just amazing. Even a shout like Matt Damon, I thought he was great, and this is probably one of my favorite Robert Downey Jr. Like characters he's played.
Yeah, no, they're all really really good.
Absolutely. But I think we pretty much hit on everything else. I think we should start moving on now.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
So that was a really good discussion. So let's move on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is quite a contrast from Oppenheimer. And I gotta say though, this could be my favorite movie of the year, or it's definitely like top 3. Like it was that good. I did not expect this movie to be as good as it was. Like I think it's the best Ninja Turtles movie of all time, and I know the 1991 one is like beloved, and I love that movie too. And that movie's amazing, by the way. It's like dark and gritty and everything. It's like the 80s. It has like that 80s aesthetic with like crime ridden like New York City. And this movie does a really good, accurate like depiction of New York as well. And I love that this movie has like a great balance of like the comic book version of Ninja Turtles and like the cartoony version, obviously. Even though this is like a PG movie, I'm not saying it's not like a dark PG movie. It's not like a Tim Burton movie, but it's like but it still has like a grittiness to it. You know, it has like a really awesome style to it. Like I haven't loved an animated movie like this since like the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. Like it's that good. To me, it's on that level. I would probably say Into the Spider-Verse is better, but it's close. I think I really did not expect this movie to be as good as it was. Like this, I'm telling you, I would like easily pick this as like Oscar for best animated film like of the year. Like it's really that good. Every joke lands. This movie is legitimately hilarious. Legitimately. And the action is so good. The animation's fluid as hell. There's so much love into the animation in this movie. It doesn't feel cheap or anything. Like this feels like a passion project on a bigger budget. And the villains were understandable. They had a very understanding motivation. And even then, it doesn't go the way you think it goes.
Yep.
And I gotta say, I absolutely love Jackie Chan as Splinter. And Splinter, I can see some comic fans being upset, like Splinter being kind of not like a doofus, but they made him more like goofier and like carefree. He's more carefree, but it makes it better later on when he gets mad. Then you see it, and I love that the whole movie is about them getting milked, and then later on, there's always a warning about them getting milked. And then, I won't say what happens, but that part that cracked me up.
Dad, why do you keep bringing that up? Why milking of all things? It's so funny.
We don't have nipples. That's what they said.
And that's right. We don't even have nipples. What are you talking about?
Dory, what did you think about the movie?
Oh, James, what did you want to say something?
No, yeah, I mean,
Okay,
look,
go
I
ahead.
haven't seen the film, so I don't have much to say here. But like, I just wanted to just briefly comment on the fact that like, uh, the amount of like films, animated films that have come out since Into the Spider-Verse that have played with this kind of style, and like it feels like every single one of them has been a massive hit. It kind of feels like
Mm-hmm.
animation studios have unlocked a cheat code for good movies by just
Yeah, I
not
mean it was
doing the
Puss
kind
in
of Pixar
Boots, and
style.
now it's this. I don't know if
Yeah, and
other
Nimona
ones.
as well this year.
Nimona. I haven't seen Nimona yet,
That
but
was a
Tim and I
great
have
movie.
been meaning to.
That was a really good
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
As for TMNT, I've been a fan for a very long time. Played the arcade games. Played. Watched the original TMNT movie. Watched the 1980s version. Watched the mid 2000s version. That's very dark for a children's show. Yeah, I've been a fan for a long time. Kind of lapsed on it after the mid 2000s show, and I haven't really been into TMNT since ever. I mean, really, since the mid 2000s. I got
Yeah, I
older and
mean,
I just wasn't as into it
it
anymore.
didn't go anywhere. Like Nickelodeon had a show for like 5 years and stuff. It's just that like
Nickelodeon
same thing for
has-
me. Like, we're the same age pretty much, and like
yeah,
we kind of like faded out just because there wasn't really anything like more, not adult,
yeah,
but like more geared for everybody rather than
sure.
kids. Yeah.
So all to say, I haven't been into the TMNT in a long time. That said, love this movie. Thought it was great. Shout out to Donatello with the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure sweatshirt.
Oh my god,
That rules.
there are so many anime references in this movie. The fact that like the whole build
It's
up to like
great.
the final battle because it was Attack on Titan basically.
Attack on Titan.
I was
Yes, that
cracking.
was
That's my
great
favorite
too.
anime right
It was
now.
so
I was
good.
cracking
Yeah,
up.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a okay. So the most important thing for me that a TMNT movie can be is fun. This movie nails that. It's so fun. Animation is excellent. The voice acting is excellent. I think the creators said that originally the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were all supposed to be like kind of representing like black kids, but I'm not sure. And they're all actually voiced by well, not new, but like newer voice actors that I've heard before. It's not the same kind of voice actors that you usually hear.
It's not Troy Baker
So
and Nolan
yeah, it's
North.
not Troy Baker. It's not. I have that particular Animaniacs voice actor in mind. Paul something. I can't remember his name. Who's an excellent voice actor. But yeah, it's all. It's really cool. It's something different. Also, something different is their origin story is tweaked a little bit. It's made a little bit cleaner and simpler.
They literally
It's
watch.
streamlined.
Yeah, they literally watch like kung fu movies, and that's how they be.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
really funny. I didn't expect that.
And YouTube videos, or like old YouTube videos, I guess, since they're teenagers now. But yeah, old YouTube videos, like mid 2000s, late 2000s. It's very funny. I thought, the humor is really done well. There's a moment later in the film where they're singing a BTS song to Donnie to cheer him up.
Yeah.
And they're singing so poorly, and Donnie and like their lives are in danger, and Donnie's like, "You guys don't even know the words." It's just so fucking funny. So I love this film. I love this film a lot. It's not. It's my second out of the three. A little bit below Oppenheimer, but I still thought this was a really great film. It's fun. It's funny. The action is so good. Like I said, the animation is every time there was an action scene, my attention was wrapped like around this film. Like the hits are so crisp. They always manage to make the sword strikes or the blades in particular feel powerful without showing a lot of blood or without like getting super gory, obviously because it's a kids film. But I mean, Leonardo has a katana and Raph has the blade, the kunais, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously you could very easily make this a very adult film, and they've leaned into that, like Seb said. I just thought they balanced it so well. I do have a couple like little nitpicks. They're small things. Michelangelo is my favorite character. Obviously, if you can't notice, I love making jokes, and I love having that as like a part of me that like makes other people like cheer up and stuff like that. I got part of that from Spider-Man, but I also got part of it from Michelangelo too, watching him when I was a little kid. So I love that little goofball. I feel like the movie didn't do too much with him. with Donnie, he's the driver, and with Leo, he's the leader, and Raph gets to like play out his anger. But you don't really get a feel good scene for Michelangelo. It's a nitpick, but Michelangelo is my favorite character, so I was, yeah.
Mikey's not really
He did
goofy.
get the improv,
He's not really goofy.
Yeah.
This version, he's usually like the goofy surfer dude guy, and he still was like a skater guy, but he wasn't. He was kind of more chill. Like I felt like the other cast were more like Michelangelo than Michelangelo actually was, which it didn't bother me. It was just a different take.
It was definitely a different take. I think the villains are really well done. Like Seb said, they have understandable motives. I knew what their motives were going to be from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly, I'm sorry to make this comparison, but it's basically, I was like, oh, they're going to do the lizard thing from Amazing Spider-Man 1. It's obviously a lot better than that. But, like, they're doing the whole lizard thing from Amazing Spider-Man 1. But obviously done a lot better.
Good. Sorry.
I think the villains are done so well, and the sort of climax scenes, I won't, the sort of like finishing scenes or later scenes in the movie with those villains. I won't say what happens, but like Seb says, it doesn't go the way you think it will, and I love that because we never get to see the Turtles be able to do that with their villains. Most of the time anyway, because most of the time they're just one-dimensional villains. And also, last thing I'll say, there's a mid-credit scene. Stick around for it.
Yeah, like one thing I love about this movie was the fact that it didn't go for the typical like Shredder as the bad guy or Krang or something like that. It actually it focused on the mutant part, which never really gets focused. I feel like in like the movies, it always gets focused more like in the shows and stuff. And
we got to talk about the soundtrack too. The soundtrack's so good.
Oh, phenomenal! The soundtrack is one of the best.
Soundtrack.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah. I gotta say, I love the main villain, like the Fly from, which is like played by Ice Cube.
Fly.
He was like Ice Cube.
Yeah,
that was really funny. I love the designs of the turtles because they were all different types of turtles. They were all different shaped because they were all different species, like breeds of turtles. So that was cool design. The mutants were really fun. All of them were fun. Like especially the gecko guy. I thought he was hilarious.
I love the gecko, broski, brochachos.
Yeah.
Broseph Stalin. I don't think he said that one, but yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, this movie had so many like I said, this movie was hilarious. Like this is legitimately a great comedy, and not like a little kid like jokes. It was like legitimately this movie would appeal to anybody. I think.
Yes, this is like a perfect family film. There are lots of really good jokes for basically anybody to get or not get. I just really enjoyed this film a lot. Like I said, I mean, I have a couple of nitpicks. I don't know. It gets hard at a certain level to even take gripes with a lot of the things in the film because like it's such a solid movie. And I think it does pretty much everything it wants to do very well. I think I only wanted it to be longer just because I wanted there to be more of it. Yeah. But it's also a really great length for an animated film. I mean, it's a little over an hour and a half, so I can't be too mad about that.
Plus, we're gonna get a sequel, and there's gonna be there's gonna be a television series as well on Paramount. So.
Oh, really cool.
They're gonna make it a franchise, of course. So.
Yeah.
Which I worry a little bit because I feel like. As cool as the movie is, you do too much of it, then it kind of it starts to lose its.
I think they should stick to the movies. I think that's been really working for Spider-Verse, and I think that would really work for Puss in Boots too.
Yeah, but they're doing like a show on Paramount, unfortunately. Which I don't trust Paramount.
Well, no one's gonna buy Paramount Plus. Just stop. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean everything they've done has been terrible. I mean they did like a Fairy Odd Parents live action show, and it was garbage. They did Master Cheeks, with John Halo.
And not that bad. I stand by it.
No.
Not that.
I don't even know what the fuck that is, and I want to immediately move on so I don't discover more.
The Halo show, the live action Halo show.
They can put that on.
Oh.
They can put that in the Accolades trailer. Not that bad. Because that's the best they're probably going to get.
Yeah, if you like.
Not as bad as Halo 5.
Yeah, it's Halo, but like if he never wears the helmet and shows his ass half the time, and you focus on a human lady half the time, and yeah. Anyway, let's move on before we get on a tangent with that. All right, so Ninja Turtles was my favorite movie of the three, which is I didn't expect that honestly, but like every movie I mentioned is like a 4-star or higher, so we're talking like all great movies. So, but my favorite movie of the year is probably still gonna be like John Wick Chapter 4,
Hell yeah.
or like Guardians of the Galaxy, or I guess
Guardians was here too. Oh my god, that
Ninja
was a great film
Turtles,
too.
and I haven't watched Mission Impossible yet, but I know I'm gonna like it because I like all the Mission Impossible movies. So when I get to that, we'll see. So let's move on to video games now. Now we got a lot of video games to
Did you
talk about.
video games?
Yeah.
Are we sure about that?
What's a video game?
What? I don't even know. Is that like a video you watch on a?
Yeah, it's a video game. Yeah, it's a video you can play. Amazing, right? They should.
Wow.
Amazing. All right, so
Technology.
let's start with Bookwalker, Thief of Tales, which Dory played a while back on Game Pass.
Yeah. So this was a couple weeks ago. Bookwalker it's a top-down, isometric kind of. I want to say RPG with some loose combat mechanics. I'll get more into that. Basically, the idea is you're in this kind of dystopian world where writers are it's not as much world building as maybe I'd like, but what seems to be the case is writers have more or less been enslaved by these corporations to write certain kinds of books. If you don't write those certain kind of books, or you break other kind of related laws to books, you go to jail, or you have these kind of punishments that you have to work off. You get this job to do to steal all these artifacts from various books. So, like Thor's hammer, and like Excalibur and stuff like that, from different books. And they're all like made up books. And so, but of course, loosely based on various things. The art style is very Disco Elysium. I loved that. I felt vaguely like I was playing a Disco Elysium knockoff, but I mean that in like the most like respectful way possible. This is a great game. This game has excellent dialogue, excellent characters, excellent writing. The character is basically doing all these jobs so he can get his sentence commuted. And he's working for this shady employer who he doesn't know a lot about, but he has to go through with these jobs. But little bit by bit, he starts questioning: are these just characters, or are these people? Are these characters I'm meeting in these books, or are these actual real life people who I'm messing with? So I believe there's like 5 or 6 books that you go through. The game's pretty short. It's on Game Pass. It goes for about like 4 to 6 hours, something like that. You could easily get this done in a day or two if you want to be have a healthy adjustment there. I think that there's a lot of really good things about it. I think my favorite the favorite book that I had was the one where you were in a magical academy. Very obviously a Hogwarts knockoff or Hogwarts like kind of experience, but very fun. You get to talk to students, you get to talk to teachers. This is the one book too where you get a lot of side quests, and it really feels like the world opens up a bit more. There are other worlds with small side quests, but they don't. Most of the game is very linear. That world where you're in a magical academy feels like the most. Thank you, motorcycle. Feels like the most like expansive, I guess. The voice acting where it exists is pretty good. I'm actually struggling to think how much voice acting there actually is, but I think there's at least some voice acting, and I could be wrong though. It's been a while since I played. My major criticism of the game is the combat system. There is a turn-based style combat system, and it feels really tacked on. It's not bad. It gets the job done. You can attack. You can draw what's called ink out of enemies so that you can do more attacks. Because every attack uses up ink, so eventually you have to draw out ink. You can shield. Towards the end of the game, you get some special powers that are really buffed up. But it doesn't really feel needed. It feels like you could have just had combat play out in a cutscene, or have it play out in only very like small selections of things. Like that's what made Disco Elysium work for me so well, is because Disco Elysium almost never had combat, and when it did have combat, things were popping off. Like you knew things were really bad, and they were. Every time there's combat in Disco Elysium, it's really bad, a really bad situation. You feel it. But this game, it just feels like, I mean, you fight spiders for God's sakes, it's not that kind of level. It feels like it kind of diminishes the stakes for me personally. But that's my biggest criticism, honestly. I think this is a really great game, really well worth playing. If you like Disco Elysium, you're probably going to love that. If you're enjoying Baldur's Gate 3, you'll probably like this game. Um, Definitely not as advanced of a combat system, but very, very good. I thought the ending was cute. I saw the twist coming a few seconds before it happened, but the game had already dropped a pretty big hint, so I wasn't that much of a detective. It's just a great game. It's a cute little indie gem that I really think everybody should play. So I was really passionate about it a couple weeks ago before Baldur's Gate came into my life, and now that's all I know. But anyway, we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, Bookwalker, Thief of Tales. I think it's super worth playing. If you enjoy narrative-based games, and like I said, the combat's not bad. It's just kind of there, but it's not bad. It's totally serviceable. Sometimes it's a little difficult to figure out what you're selecting because it's kind of counterintuitive, but whatever you're selecting as an attack, whether it's shield or drain ink or attack or whatever, it doesn't highlight. It like removes the highlight or something. It's like counterintuitive. So every now and then throughout the adventure, I would like press the wrong button and it wouldn't cost me dramatically. I think I only died a couple times throughout the game. And like I said, it's 6 hours, so it's not hugely difficult. But yeah, I don't know if y'all have any questions, but that was my experience with Bookwalker. Thought it was really good.
Yeah, I was gonna play it, but I looked at the length and I was like, it's like 6 hours, I believe, and I was like, it just wasn't a good time for me to jump into that kind of game, especially with Baldur's Gate 3 right around the corner. So I have it downloaded on my Rogue Ally, but I just haven't played it yet. Maybe later on when I have some free time, like away from a new game, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when I first saw that game, I knew it was a very Dory game. Like I can tell she would dig it. So speaking of another game on Game Pass, was Venba. I actually bought it on PlayStation because I wanted the platinum because it was very easy platinum. But either way, very short game. I got the platinum in 1 hour, so obviously it's a very short experience. But there's really not much gameplay. It's mostly narrative. You just listen or not listen. You read dialogue. There's no voice acting at all. You just read dialogue. It tells a story about a family that immigrated from India to Canada, and the whole story is about them adjusting to like Western society, like how their son is more Western than them, and they don't feel like they belong. They don't click with him as much. And the story was really compelling. It was really good. It was really tells beginning to end, very understandable narrative, very touching. A lot of great theme. The gameplay is just cooking puzzles, where it's like trial and error. I followed a guide because I wanted the platinum, and one of the trophies is not making any mistakes. But if you don't give a shit about achievements or trophies, basically the game is just like you have to cook an Indian dish, and you have to like mix the ingredients together. You follow a recipe book, but like every single one, like one step will be blurred out or something, like water smudged the writing or something. So you have to figure it out. There's no like time limit or anything, so you can scrub as many times as you want, unless you care about trophies, like I said. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole game. Is just you'll do like a section of like here's them in the 80s, all right, and then cooking. All right, now like they'll jump ahead, like the son's like in college now, and now like she's cooking a dish for him, he doesn't show up. And then it's like it tells a touching story, and then he cooks, and it's just narrative cooking. So it's a really awesome. I think it was a really great experience for like an hour. Like I said, I wouldn't play this game for 10 hours, obviously, but for like an hour or two, and the puzzles are not, like I said, they're very quick. They're not. It's not like you're like sitting there trying to figure out for an hour. Like they're not that bad. I mean, some of them are a little annoying with the trial and error, but overall it's worth playing, I think, if you like those kind of games. Like this is a very like, this game is not going to appeal to like 99% of the gamers, like this is like something if you like narrative indie games, this is for you. Like, you just want like a nice hour, or not. It's probably gonna be like 2 or 3 hours if you're like not following a guide. But if you're following a guide, honestly I recommend you do follow a guide for this game. It might feel like it's cheating a bit, but like if you just want like a really nice narrative for an hour, I would follow a guide, because otherwise you're gonna get, I think you're gonna get a little frustrated with the puzzles, and you might like sour your take on the story. But
I kind of the narrative sounds great, but I also really like the sound of the idea of like having these recipes and trying to figure out how to cook these dishes.
Yeah. Right, and you get to listen to nice like Indian music, and it celebrates Indian culture really, really well. It reminded me of like Chia, where like half of Chia was just like, here's a section, okay, and then you get to like a section where you just play music. Like, it was like Last of Us Part 2. You just get the guitar and you do the string thing with the letters and all that. And you just enjoy like the culture of that it was based on. Same thing with this game. She'll turn the radio on. You listen to like an Indian song and you cook while listening to the Indian music.
I love that.
It's really good.
It sounds like it kind of weaves the narrative in with the gameplay in that sense.
Definitely.
Like, that's very much a part of it.
Yeah, because the whole game is Venba is the mom, so the whole focus is her trying to adjust to Canadian or Western culture, and it's always her cooking for her family. Like, and it jumps to every year until eventually it gets like the modern time. So yeah, it was really good. I recommend it. It's on Game Pass, like I said. So
I'll definitely give it a try now that I know about the length. I haven't picked it up yet, but I will definitely, because I remember it was at the Tribeca game showcase or something a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked really good then, so
yeah,
I'll definitely check it.
Yeah.
And
I think
it's a cool style. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a very important kind of game to have, just showing off like different cultures and stuff like that, and food. Cooking games and puzzle games aren't really my thing, so I'm hesitant, but it's an hour and it's on Game Pass, so I think maybe once Baldur's Gate is done, that might be perfect for me. That'll feel really low stakes compared to what's going on in Baldur's Gate all the time. Yeah, I might check it out then.
Definitely. Like, I love learning. I love listening to people's cultures. Like, I'm a teacher, and then culture is huge for me. Kids tell me about their cultures all the time. I live in one of the most diverse areas of America, and like, I love that stuff. I love learning about new people. Well, I mean, I know about it, but I love learning like new things I don't know about, what their family's like, and right. So you get like a real nice insight of like what an Indian family is like when they're adjusting. All right. That's pretty much it. Let's move on to the Expanse, the Telltale series. I never watched the Expanse. I know a lot of people recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime, but you don't need to know it to understand this. The first episode, which I felt like it was short. It was like an hour, I think, or maybe 90 minutes. It was about an hour, I think, though. I'll say this: the writing's good, like Telltale. It's a very typical Telltale game. So what I mean is the writing's good, dialogue so. It's I don't know. They talk weird, but I think that might be intentional though, because that's maybe how like people from that planet talk. So maybe that was like what they were going for. So I don't know about that. That didn't really bother me. My problem with this game was the sound design was bad. Like, there were times where like it sounded like they were using a mic, like a $10 mic. Like when they're screaming, the audio just gets really loud. Like
all right, like it peaks.
It peaks way too much. I mean, it doesn't happen like a lot, but when it does, it's so distracting from the scene. Like when she's yelling, it's like, ugh, like how did you miss that? Or is it the game that's messing up, or did they leave that in and they just never really didn't edit it out? I don't know, but either way, it was bad. And then the character the animation is not great. It looks like Telltale jank. Like it looks like a game from like 10 years ago, not 10 years, like probably like 15 years. No. Walking Dead came out in 2012, so it feels like a game like from like 11 years ago, 12 years ago. But that was bad. But it's kind of hard to like. I can't say if I love it or not, like it or not. Like it was okay. It kind of like the choices were good. They mattered. Like what the two choices you make. Like you either get the choice of like saving somebody or saving the supplies. And there's another section where you either can kill the guy or you let him live. And then that's pretty much it. But I don't have a lot to say. I think I'm going to like it overall. But I don't know if I like can recommend it for $40 right now. I think you have to like, if you like the sci-fi vibe to it, because it has a Mass Effect vibe to it. Like if the ship, you go have to walk around the ship and everything. That's the first thing that reminded me of like the whole way they talk about planets and the government and things like that. A lot of Mass Effect vibes. If you like narratives and you like Mass Effect, I can recommend this game more. But if you're not really into science fiction, like politic things, I can't really recommend it. And and then you have to get over like the jank of like the way the characters look like claymation. Like they look like outdated character models. Go ahead.
I'm actually surprised that it's just the first episode that's out right now, right?
Yeah, every 2 weeks we're getting a new episode.
I'm actually surprised that they're still going with that because I thought Life is Strange True Colors kind of proved that the best way to do the episodic format is just to release them all at one time.
Yeah, it does feel like an outdated. You know what? I actually don't hate episodic. The problem with episodic was the fact that like it was not consistent. Like you can tell that they were working. You could tell they were working on it in between.
Yeah, like there was like months wait in between each episode for
especially
Life is Strange 2.
Exactly, but especially Telltale. Like they would have an episode out and then it would take like 6 months for like a new episode to come out because they were still working on it, and then I would forget everything that happened. Like I don't remember the choices I made, and some games didn't do like the flashback, like, do like previous on, so I don't know what the hell happened. Yeah, so like that was really annoying. So I don't mind the like episodic as long as it's like consistent. It sounds like this game is finished. They're just releasing it every 2 weeks just to keep it like a show, I guess. But it's Telltale jank. But I don't mind that as much because I've played pretty much every Telltale game ever made. I have a platinum in every single one.
Jurassic Park?
Even Jurassic Park, although it doesn't have a platinum.
Wow.
I played that on PS3.
Well, have you really played
Sam and Max games? I love the Sam and Max games. I love. I did all the Minecraft story mode games, which is actually those were actually good. Actually, those tell a really good story actually. And you know what? That game is like doesn't exist anymore technically. Like it's like worth like $1,000 or something like that. It's like hard to get. Something happened. I don't remember, but that game became like really rare. Something happened with the game. Yeah. If you like that stuff, if you can get over all the issues, like the technical issues, the graphics, and just enjoy like a nice narrative, I can recommend it. And if you're a Telltale fan, if you're a Telltale fan like me, you know what to expect, right? You're never gonna expect like a quality, high budget, like oh my god, this looks amazing kind of game. What you're going for is a nice story for an hour. It's usually about an hour to 90 minutes. You get a nice episode in, then you wait like a month or whatever it is, and then you just keep playing every episode, and then that's it.
But do you need to buy into the full thing right now? Like
I think you do. I paid $40 for the whole thing, so.
Which is a little nuts to me because that's a big ask. You're putting a lot on.
Yeah,
the rest of those episodes being good.
That's a good point because I don't know if you can buy them separately. Maybe you can. I know like back in the day, I would always buy the episodes separately. And I would buy one at a time. Because sometimes I would just be like, oh, I have $8. It's just $8, whatever. You know what I mean? Although I've never had a Telltale game where I stopped midway because it sucked. Even the worst ones I still powered through because they weren't that garbage. Like the Game of Thrones one was disappointing. But even that wasn't. But that was like still okay. So I think this one's just okay. I'm more excited about Wolf Among Us too than anything else. So.
I do have a question actually, just a little tangential.
Sure.
As someone who played the Game of Thrones game,
yeah,
what was worse, the Game of Thrones game or Season 8?
Oh, Season 8. It was bad.
Oh, really?
I hate season 8. Oh,
No,
that could be its own
everyone does.
topic. Yeah, but not. No, season 8 like. Oh, really quick tangent. Really quick. I'm not gonna go on a big rant.
Okay.
The visuals of season 8, incredible. The cinematography, absolutely just insane. Like it. The Telltale one, it looks bad, but the writing though was just so bad, and that like felt like it didn't feel like the same show. It felt like they wanted to do Star Wars, so they were just rushing to get out of there, and they just didn't put the same heart into it. Like you can't you can't just end all that epic, like the whole epic grand story into 6 episodes. You just can't. They should have just picked someone else as a showrunner and did like the Walking Dead thing and just did like, because this show needed to be at least 10 seasons. And I know HBO wanted it to be 10 seasons, and they and for it's weird because usually the corporate people want the show to end, and the writers wanted to keep going. But in this case, the writers wanted to end, and the corporate people wanted to keep it going. Although I don't know why no one just said, okay, bye, and we'll give it to someone else. But I guess they wanted to keep it with the same people. But either way, it was a mess. Game of Thrones kind of died. It like overnight, basically, Game of Thrones was like the greatest show of all time. Huge ratings, and then like, as soon as season 8 ended, everybody was over it. Like you never heard shit about Game of Thrones for like a couple years. It was just like the whole fandom was just pissed off. It just faded out, and then House of Dragons came back, and it's been.
I've made a lot of bad and dumb decisions in my life that I will regret for as long as I live. But leaving Game of Thrones when it was in season 5 or 4, not going to be one of them. One of the best decisions I ever made. As soon as they put that little kid on the cross and burned her alive, I was like, yeah, I'm good. Thanks. I don't need to see a show like that. So I'm always gonna look back fondly on my successes as well.
I mean,
this is one of them.
That scene was, I mean, that's not a scene that would make me leave. The problem with Game of Thrones was the problems you started to see was season 5 is when it started. It was because that's when like they got past the books, and you can tell the drop in writing. George R. Martin is on a way higher level than D&D. I mean, it's like it's not even close. Like you saw a huge drop off in the writing because you can tell by like the stupid, cringy dialogue of like the snake ladies. Oh my god, they were so cringe, and that's when the show really started falling off. Although it was still,
anyways,
but season 5 was still great. Season 5 was still great, but you started to see the flaws, and season 6 was incredible too. But that had some of the flaws, and then season 7 and 8 was when it really.
I don't think George R. Martin would have ever had an Ed Sheeran cameo.
That, and although speaking of Martin, did you see him wearing the Barbie pink? He went to see Barbie, and he's wearing pink. It's on Twitter.
I didn't, but that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great.
His wife took him, and he's wearing a pink. He was wearing like a pink. Some I don't remember what it was, but yeah, go on his Twitter page. It was really funny.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Pikmin 4, which I think is a really good game. I think Pikmin's a really great series. It's really underrated, honestly. It's not like it tends to get overlooked because it's not like Mario or Zelda or Pokemon or anything like that, but it's always consistently good. This game doesn't really change like a lot. It's the same formula of Pikmin on the ground, and you pull them out. They're like plants, right? And then they're like little minions that help you, and you throw them at like objects to carry the objects back to the base, right? So this whole game is like a treasure hunt. But what makes this game really stand out, and I think it's most casual friendly, and it's the most accessible game. It's the best game to jump into the series. You don't have to play the first 3 to understand it. What makes this game very accessible is the fact that like it has a rewind feature. So if you feel like a lot of my Pikmin died, or I did something wrong here, you can rewind to that section, and it's amazing. Like it makes a big difference, right? You don't feel the punishment as much. And also the fact that like there's no like time limit, like you have to like no deadline, like I have to get this done by this deadline or I'm screwed. Like you can actually there is a day and night cycle, but you can just go back to the next day and do the same thing. It's not like you have to get everything done in one night or you're in trouble. So it's the most casual, friendly Pikmin game so far in the series, I would say, and it's just really relaxing. It's really, I mean, the fact that like the whole game is just like finding treasure, like big treasure, and then you it's just chill. And what else? What else is new is they added like an underground section, so like you can go like there's a sections where like there's different monsters or different treasures to pick up, and you just do the same thing underground. That's pretty much it. I mean, I would say the dog stands out to me. Ochi, he's really cute. You get to ride on him, and all the Pikmin ride on him too. And he actually helps you too. You can tell him to do commands. And yeah, do you guys have any questions about it? I'm starting to wear off a little bit because I don't know much more to say.
No, yeah, I saw the donkey video.
Yeah,
that's like the extent of my knowledge about this one. But it seems like the dog gets hurt a lot.
You can, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You feel bad. You feel bad for the Pikmin. I mean, they die, they get eaten,
Yeah.
they drown. You
Can
have
you pet the dog?
what?
Can you pet the dog?
Can you pet the dog?
I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can. Yeah.
You cannot release a video game in the year of our Lord 2023 with a dog and not have the player be able to pet the dog.
Yeah.
Even in Baldur's Gate, I just want to confirm everybody. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but even Baldur's Gate, you can pet the dog. Thank you.
Yeah. No, certain Pikmin do certain things. The yellow ones can handle electricity. The blue ones can swim. I forget. I think the red ones are fire, but I could be
The
misremembering.
purple ones do a lot of damage, right? They still have the big purple ones.
I think they did. No, see, I haven't seen the purple ones yet. I've seen the ice one. I don't know if they're new or not because I haven't. It's been a while since I played Pikmin. There's like these ice ones, so there's like ice damage and yeah. And there's ones like these like underground ones, like these ghostly ones that come out like you can use at night. But like I said, it's kind of hard to like explain it because it's pretty much the same game as the other ones. It just makes it more accessible. So it's kind of like I don't know what more to say that I haven't already said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm struggling to find like new things to say about it.
So it's kind of like
it's not my kind of game, and so there's really nothing you can say that would make me really want to play it. But I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I mean I'm also very glad that it's open to newcomers because maybe other people will find that hey they also enjoyed Pikmin.
Sorry, no, it seems like it's very much just an iteration on the same.
Oh, it is.
Like,
It's just the more accessible version and the best version. So.
Yeah, but I think like I mean, I had no interest in it until I actually saw gameplay. So I think if anyone is interested, like knows nothing about the game and is interested or intrigued by it, like watching gameplay is probably the best way to sell yourself on it.
Definitely. It's a Nintendo game. It's very gameplay driven. So if you're not feeling the gameplay, then void this game. There's really no narrative. Really, the whole narrative is just you rescuing your crew. You're like a space cadet or whatever. You get to make your own character, which is pretty cool for this game. It's not like it's not
I'm a space cadet in real life.
It's not Baldur's Gate 3 like customization, but you can't customize like your character's genitals like in Baldur's Gate 3. But it is pretty cool. Like you can make your own character, and yeah, the whole game is just you finding treasure and rescuing your crew. So there's really no narrative. So this game is all gameplay driven. It's like Mario. So if the gameplay doesn't fit with you, then avoid it. That's pretty much all I have to say about Pikmin 4. It's a great game. I'm probably underselling it only because you guys are not really like giant Nintendo fans, and you haven't never really played Pikmin. So it's like. I'm trying to sell you on a game that like you probably wouldn't play anyway, so that's why I'm struggling to explain it so much. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're good, dude.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
All right, so let's move on
Pikmin.
to.
We all know what the deal is with Pikmin. But hey, speaking of Nintendo Switch,
So this is our second discussion topic. We're gonna talk about the new Nintendo Switch and the PS5 Pro because both are coming out next year. So like this is like our
Supposedly.
it's all but confirmed at this point. Apparently people have the dev kits for both, so it's pretty much all but confirmed. So the reason why I combined the two is the fact I wanted to talk about both, and because both are supposedly coming out next year, so I just might as well just hit on both of them. But let's start with the Switch 2. My thing is, well, let's first say that the rumor is it's on the same level as PS4, so it's like a handheld PS4, which is obviously realistic because obviously the Steam Deck is like the same, like $400, and it plays games really well, and the Rogue Ally is $700, and it plays games really, really well as well, as I told you guys last episode. And so I think Nintendo can hit on a PS4 graphics system for $300 again in a handheld form. I think that's realistic nowadays. Maybe like 5 years, like when Nintendo, like maybe 5 years ago, then that wasn't realistic. But I think now they can hit on that. But I also think the fact that like I think it's a safe bet that the screen's gonna be OLED. Like they're not gonna do like different tiers again. I think like the base one's gonna be OLED. So a nice $300 machine with great exclusives, with an OLED screen and $300 it was a really high selling point. What do you guys think? Think it's gonna be that?
I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too. I feel like the Switch 2. Have you ever had like an event that's been talked up so much that by the time it happens, before it even happens, you're already exhausted? That's how I feel about the Switch 2, because I feel like I've seen the rumors 9,001 times, and you know, if we're finally getting it, great. But you know, like I said, or like you said, I'm not. I play my Nintendo Switch every now and then. I loved Ghost Trick. That's the only time this whole year I've used it, is just Ghost Trick, and that's only because it was like a Nintendo game and it was really made for the Switch and blah blah blah. So yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm too enthused, but like, you know, obviously a lot of people want this. A lot of people have been clamoring for it, so I hope it happens. Hopefully, it's not a really bad price point.
I think this is coming at a great time because I really need a new device to play Mario Kart on at my rooftop summer parties with unconventionally attractive people, just like the advert.
Great commercial, by the way. Like that. I think it's one of the big reasons why it sold so well. Because I think if you watch commercials for the Wii U, it felt like it was targeted for like 8-year-olds. Like it was always on like Disney Channel or Nickelodeon. And there's always like little kids playing Mario together. And then the Switch commercials came out, and it was like always millennial attractive people at parties playing Switch, like because that's what people do. You know, you go to a party, everybody's drinking, playing Mario Kart.
Yeah, they marketed well, and I think
that's how all my parties go.
Yeah,
right,
drink a martini and play Mario Kart.
And I think they'll do the same thing this time around, which would be the smart thing. I think this time around they'll do the same. They'll just do the same that they did with everything.
Well, they have to. I mean, because obviously the big concern, right, is like it. The biggest reason why the Wii U failed so much is the fact that like people thought it was an accessory to the Wii, and it got confusing. So the concern for this one is like if you call it like a Switch 2, like how do you separate it? I wouldn't call it a Switch 2. I would call it, if it was me, I would call it the Super Switch, like the Super Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, exactly. Do that retro thing. Why not?
Yeah, that's what I would do. But you have to separate it because people are gonna get confused. I mean, we're not talking like us, but like little Timmy and his mom. She's gonna buy him the wrong thing.
Poor little Timmy. He's got to get that operation on the leg, or he's just not gonna live.
Yeah, he only gets screwed in these gaming scenarios.
I think I don't know. I mean, I think calling it the Switch 2 might be the most clear because you you associate that with like the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2.
I think it works. That works too. It's just
I
think Super sounds better.
If they called it like the Super Switch, I think you could be forgiven for thinking that it was like the Switch OLED, like it was just an upgraded version of the Switch as opposed to the next generation console. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. But what do you guys think? Like, what would they launch with? Like, what do you think? Like, what would be their big marquee game that they would launch with?
Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe.
Again.
Yeah, again.
Well, that's
They're never coming out with a new Mario Kart.
Well, that's
game.
I know that one of the big concerns with the Nintendo audience is about Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, and the fact that like those two games are such the perfect versions of those games, and like it has all the characters, all the stages, everything. It's like, how do you make a new one? Like, do you have to like reboot the whole series, or and that's like the big concern, yeah.
I think they need to start coming up with some new stuff. You know, I think they need some new marquee franchises.
Yeah, but it's like people are always going to clamor for a Mario Kart. I mean, there's 8 of them, right?
No, yeah, but I think give those franchises,
break.
like, I mean, bring them back eventually, but give them some room to breathe. I think this is the time to give them some room to breathe. Like, end on a high note.
Yeah.
Let people enjoy those games for years and years, and then once it's been a while, then make a new one. Don't make a new one now and, like, you know, ride that goodwill
Right.
for a while.
So I'm just
Odyssey
like
when was Odyssey? 2019?
17.
2017.
It was a launch
So it's
year.
been
It was
6
a launch
years.
game.
It was a launch game, right? Wow,
Breath in the Wild and Mario Odyssey were both launch games.
that's wild.
Yeah, there's
Literally.
like Switch probably had the best launch lineup of all time. That and like was it PS2 maybe? I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But either way, my thing is like you can't really launch with Zelda, right? I mean, unless it's like a better version of it. I guess they can do like a. They did do that with Breath of the Wild, I believe. Like there was the Wii U version and the Switch version.
Yeah.
But it was
But
pretty
they
much the
both
same.
launched at the same time. Didn't
They launched at the same time. So, maybe there's a Zelda game they're working on that we don't know about, or maybe there's there's 2 big Mario games coming out this year. So I'm curious, like, maybe like we're getting a legitimate 3D Mario game that we don't know about yet. That's what I would guess is a launch game for that.
It's been a while.
Because it's been a while, and you can always do a Pokemon game. I mean, Pokemon's been coming out a lot consistently. Maybe you can show off like, oh, we don't have the glitches and the bugs anymore. We can do a legitimate open world game without like all the jank, and something that could be another selling point. Because Pokemon is always a huge seller, right? So it'd be a perfect like holiday game for the Switch.
I mean, it's also worth pointing out it's not just the engine they're using or the Switch, right? It's not just the Switch's operating system. It's also like the amount of time they have to make the games is also why it's so buggy. I think they really need to change that up before until that, like when they do that, maybe they could guarantee less jank. But until then,
Oh,
I'm
sure.
not so sure.
Yeah, Game Freak. Yeah, their games they don't have the same polish as like Nintendo's marquee games. I feel like Metroid Prime 4 would be a great launch game, or at least like close to launch. That'd be huge. Although Metroid's not never been a big seller ever. Like I know like Twitter makes it like it's a giant franchise for Nintendo, but it never sells well.
No. They could do a new Star Fox.
Yeah, Star Fox is usually like their go-to for like a launch thing. So I could definitely see Star Fox for sure.
But when was the last one of those?
Oh, it's been a. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not I'm a big Nintendo fan, but I'm not like I can give you like throw the details out like I can with PlayStation. But it's been a while. I know like the Wii U one.
Wasn't
people
the
didn't
last
really like.
major? Wasn't the last major Star Fox game that was 3D like on the GameCube or something?
No, there was one like recent
There
that
was
people
one for
didn't
the
like.
Wii U,
For the
right?
Wii or something?
Yeah, it had like the you can buy like collectibles with it, and you can build your own ships and stuff or something like that.
Oh, that
It-
wasn't like a Star. No, I think you're thinking Starlink.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking
Atlas.
that you're right. You're right. I think that's the
The
last
Ubisoft game.
Star Fox thing though, like in a long time.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I do believe you're correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a good option because we don't know shit that's coming out. That's the thing about Nintendo though, is like you don't know anything, and then all of a sudden they have a direct, and it's like, oh wow, new Mario, new Luigi, Peach game, you know. So if there's one thing we don't have to worry about with Nintendo is content. Like they'll have plenty to play.
Yeah.
My question.
They have the mascots.
My question about Nintendo is this: backwards compatibility. Are you gonna make? Is it gonna be able to play Switch 1 games? Are we gonna be able, or are we gonna have to rebuy shit? Or are we gonna get a shitload of remasters again, like the Wii, like we got with the Switch in the Wii U?
I think that it needs backwards compatibility, but I can so easily see a world where it doesn't have it because Nintendo just likes to do their own thing and is like
Yep,
they just feel like they don't need to do it.
I agree. I think that's what's. I think they're going to do backwards compatibility, but I don't be shocked if they don't and they resell shit, because Nintendo's probably is the greediest of the three. I mean, they're all greedy, but Nintendo's especially anti-consumer. I mean, people they used to like copyright everybody just for showing like a clip of a game. They were ruthless. My other question is like, are they gonna be? Is there social media in their trophy system? They're gonna have a trophy or achievement system, and is their social media aspect gonna be like more modern? Because they're very dated in this aspect. Like they're always behind everybody, and then they finally release it like 6 years later. Oh my God, we're finally having voice chat. You know what I mean? Like, and then it becomes like a big deal. So I'm curious if they're gonna have achievements in this.
I remember when the Switch came out and like it's such a small thing, but they had an option for themes, different themes for the homepage.
Oh,
but it was just like light and dark.
I know.
And like
I can't believe they've never done that.
Right, like everyone was waiting for them, like, okay, add more, and they just never did. And it's like the PS5 came out and they didn't have
I know.
PlayStation. They Sony didn't have themes for that either, even though there was themes
I
for
know.
PS4. And it's like, is
so
this just
frustrating.
a thing that we're not gonna have anymore? You know?
Only Xbox does it, and even then, they have like very limited ones. Like I have a nice Fallout one, and I can't even see it because there's so many fucking buttons on the screen.
And that's kind of just because the UI for Xbox.
They fixed
Series
it, I
carries
believe.
over from last gen.
Although I think they changed it recently, because I haven't used my Xbox in a while because I play Game Pass on PC. But I think they recently or completely changed it. But they still have way too many ads and stuff on there. But I agree. Like I have an awesome Fallout one, and I can't see shit because there's so much stuff on the screen. But the PS5, right? I missed the PS4 themes. Like I had an awesome God of War one, awesome Dark Souls one. Like I had a beautiful, like amazing one for Halloween. Like it felt so festive to like play like like horror games on my PS4 and have a Halloween theme in the back, and then Christmas time have an awesome Christmas theme. It doesn't have the same like magic, I guess you could say, like that, like when you have a theme.
It doesn't. It's like it feels personal, and like some of them are really cool. Like did you have the Firewatch one?
I did, yeah. I did have that
Yeah,
one.
like the cool thing with that is like it changes depending on what time of day it is.
You're right.
Which I'd like.
A lot of them did that, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Just cool stuff like that, you know.
Definitely, like the Christmas one I had, it'd be like daytime, it'd be like actually daytime, and then nighttime, and the snow would be cooler looking. It was really awesome. I have a feeling we're going to get PS5 themes, but it's gonna be like late in the gen, and it's gonna be like the PS6 is coming out, so it's not gonna have the same.
I mean,
it's just.
I hope.
Yeah,
I hope so, but like I'm not holding out hope at the same time.
Yeah, I've given up on that dream already.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that like I can't even like get new avatars anymore. Like you have to do like these like sweepstakes things, or like go on the PlayStation website and like do like surveys and shit to get like avatars. And it's like I got like really awesome Hogwarts like but I used to be able to buy my own avatars anytime I want on the PS3. Like, why can't I do that?
Yeah, I mean, technically, you can still go on your PS3, you buy an avatar and put it on.
You can, but I don't. First of all, I don't have a PS3 anymore, and then second, like I can't buy new things. Like they don't have any like new. Like, why can't I get like awesome Final Fantasy VII Remake avatars, or why can't I get Spider-Man 2 avatars? Like, I don't understand
like
why. It's easy money, Sony. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like even on the PS4, they used to do like they did like avatar packs that came with games and stuff.
Shoot, even Nintendo does this now. I mean, Nintendo every like 2 weeks or month or whatever, we get like brand new avatars. If you're a Nintendo Online subscriber.
I definitely wish they bring back the wallpapers back. I remember when I had them for my PS4, it was awesome. I had my Last of Us Part 2 one for a long time, and it was always great seeing it. And I wish they bring that back. I don't know why they dropped it. It was a great thing that made your PlayStation feel like it was more your own.
Yeah,
and then like
I agree.
They're really kind of telling of the era as well. Like the ones for the PS4 are all very sleek, and like you've got The Last of Us Part 2, and that kind of like they're for the different games. But if you go on the PS3, I've got one that's not affiliated with any game. It's just made by some company that spits them out for the sake of making money, and it's just like it's so stupid. It's just like a nuclear bomb going off in the background, and it's like not based on any IP. It's just like this cool thing, and like stuff like that. It's like it's like a time capsule, you know?
Definitely. I would now the rumor is we're getting a PS5 Slim and a PS5 Pro. I would if I know Sony's history, usually the Slim takes over as the main like their baseline console. Like the fat boys usually get like easily get put away basically. Like the PS3 was gigantic, and then like the PS3 Slim was like the main one. Probably the ones most people had, because that's when PS3 started building more sales at that point. But I think the PS5 is gonna be similar, because I think a lot of people have a problem with the size of the PS5. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people are gonna rebuy a Slim. Obviously, I think the Pro is the bigger seller, because I think it's all but confirmed at this point we're gonna get a Pro. I mean, it's been 3 years, and by that next year it'll be 4 years, and it's time. And I think if they can hit on 4K 60 frames per second, that would be an absolutely incredible selling point. They can already hit on 60 frames in like not 4K, but it's like checkerboard 4K. Like you can, like the games look gorgeous, but it's still not like there yet. If they can hit on that, that would be like amazing for a console. Because if one thing you can trust Sony with more than like Microsoft with their consoles is like the optimization. Like, cause this generation, I know like it's easy to like hit like bash Xbox, but having no games and everything. But I think one of the problems Xbox has is that like games, like third party games, are running better on PS5 because like the SSD and things like that. It's gamers. I mean, not gamer. The developers can optimize for the PS5 easier, I guess, than than Xbox. So like it's not like huge difference, but it's like the just speed of like the loading screens and things like that, and the game's running a little better on PS5. So if they can really hit on that with like PS5, PS5 just hit at like 40 million sales now. Like it's selling like incredibly. It actually, even with the COVID and all the struggles of people to find a PS5, it's actually outpacing the PS4 right now. So that's insane. So I can imagine like Sony like needs to hit on like a next PS5 Pro. I can see that being a huge seller, because I think the reaction is going to be way different than when the PS4 Pro got announced. People were like, why, right? But I think nowadays, like this is like what 8 years after PS4 Pro, people are like clamoring for that kind of stuff. Like, oh my god, I can play this game 4K 60 frames. Oh my god, I can play like the New Horizon or God of War or like Spider-Man 2 and he's saying ray tracing, So I'm definitely the person for this market. Like that's day one for me for sure. But I'm just curious what the specs are going to be. Like, is it going to be a huge jump? Is it going to be like, is it really worth it kind of thing? What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be underwhelming.
Okay.
Like, I think the two biggest things are going to be more storage space and
Definitely
a smaller form factor. I think everything else is going to probably be a minor upgrade in the grand scheme of things.
Dory, what do you think?
I mean, this is another case of like, I'm not sure how much I'm super interested in this happening. I mean, like, I never got a PS4 Pro. The Slim actually feels more interesting to me, because I would love to be able to take my PS5 places with a little more ease, because I do pet sitting and dog sitting as a side job, and so like sometimes when I want to bring my PS5 with me, I feel like I've got like this huge like console in my bag, and it's not a big deal, but it is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm not the person for this. Honestly, I don't really care about better like 4K or ray tracing. I just finally got a gaming PC. I just finally got a couple years ago got my PS5. Like that kind of stuff's just not super important to me. As long as the game's stable and the game is fun, that's what I'm happy with personally. But obviously, I'm not the only person in the world, and other people think differently than me on that one.
I think most people are in your
but
camp. The premium people, I know they can be like vocal. They're like very vocal, but they're a strong minority. The people that like buy premium, like me, like I have to have a 4080 PC. I like to have the best version of the console, things like that. I'm like less than 1% of people, so I'm curious, like, what's a great selling point for the Pro? Like, if it's just like minor updates, like that's not really gonna do much. Although I think Sony's gonna do like that thing like they did last gen, where it's like they combine the sales of the Pro and the regular one and said, oh, this is the PS4, this is all the PS4 sales, right? So I can see them doing that. But I'm curious, like, if they really want to stick it, like, oh, this is the PS5 Pro, what are we gonna do to sell people? Is it gonna be 60 frames? Because I think right now resolution's the big keyword for people. Is that because like people are disappointed that Starfield's 30 on the Xbox? So I know that's like a big selling
I saw
point.
some rumored specs on Twitter. I don't remember the specifics of what they were, but when I looked at them, I was like, this looks underwhelming to me. But for somebody else, I mean, maybe who's really into that, the glitz and glamour of gaming and all that, which is fine. Maybe it's like super exciting. But when I looked at the list, I was like, I felt underwhelmed or just whelmed.
Yeah, the big key word right now is 8K. Because even the PS5 on the box says 8K. There is no 8K. No one's making a game in 8K. Even if you have a 4090 PC, there's no games in 8K. So everybody drop the 8K out of your mindset. Like, if you do have an 8K TV, which do exist, you're rich, because those things are like $6,000-$7,000. Like, if you have money to spend $6,000-$7,000 on a TV, then you must be comfortable. But like, what's the point? Because nothing streams in 8K, nothing plays in 8K. So sometimes some things are expensive and it's not worth the money. Like, it feels like you just buy it just to brag that you have it. Because like, what's the point? If no games in 8K, then what's the point?
You can't have I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I reckon you can't have a game running in 8K at a consistent 30 FPS that looks anywhere half decent.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm not a big tech person, but I have like a basic understanding. Like, even a video card nowadays, like a 4090 is way overpriced. Like the 40 series is so overpriced right now. The smart play is always to wait, right? It's always better to like be a generation behind, because even like a 3090, 3080, which are way cheaper than the 40 series nowadays, can play pretty much every game outside like Cyberpunk and like 4K, obviously ray tracing. So the smart move in technology is always to wait. And consoles are different, obviously, because PC is more customizable. But either way, my point is, it's always better to wait. But yeah, I think we've hit on everything. What do you actually, before we move on, what do you think the price point would be for a PS5 Pro? Do you think it would be like a $500, and then they make the PS5 Slim like $400 because it's selling so well that they can drop it down in price a little bit? Or do you think like, it's gonna be like $600?
What do PS5s go for right now? I don't remember.
It's
500.
It's $500 in the US and then $550 in the rest of the world. They stopped doing that now though. But apparently you can find it cheaper now. I feel like I've read somewhere that you can find them like $450 now, or some places and things like that. Point is, it's very accessible now, so it's $500 pretty much. Yeah. I'm saying the long way.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the Slim being 400 and maybe the Pro being 550, 600, maybe.
So you think
depends on what the specs are.
So you think
depends on what the specs are.
So you think the base PS5 is going to drop in price for sure? Like because the Slim would probably be the base one.
The Slim's, well, maybe. I mean, I thought the Slim would probably be less than the, because maybe it would have like less storage or something, but I'm not sure.
That's good. I mean, that's a good point. Like, we don't know if the Slim's gonna be like a lesser version. It's gonna be like a Series S version of PS5, but I doubt it.
Right.
I think that's cannibalized Xbox. Like, I don't think Series S has been that good for them because they're not getting Baldur's Gate because it can't run on Series S, so they can't optimize it for every platform for Xbox.
Wait, so Series S can't even play Baldur's Gate?
No, that's the reason why it's not coming to Xbox yet. It is coming to Xbox, but yet. I think it's coming to Xbox. Either way, I don't think PS5. I don't think they're gonna do like 3 versions of PS5. I think that would be confusing and weird.
No.
I think the PS5 Slim would take the PS5 original place, in my opinion.
I don't think they do. I don't think they get away with 600 plus, unless they have a cheaper model, next to it, to kind of soften that blow and say like, here's an option if you can't afford the 600.
Yeah, but that's just weird though, right? Like you get because in people's heads, right? They feel like they're getting let down, right? Like I'm not getting the Pro, yeah. I'm getting like the version.
But that's exactly what they did with the PS4, isn't it? They released the Slim and the Pro at the same time.
Right, but I'm saying you can keep it like 2, like Pro and this, but like you have like a Slim, then you have like semi kind of Pro, and then you have a Pro. It just like you get like 3-4 versions of a PS5. It just gets convoluted for people.
Yeah, no, but I think if they release a Pro and a Slim at the same time, that replaces the base.
Okay, so you think it's gonna replace the base? Yeah, I think it's gonna replace the base too. But yeah, I think $600 it's probably pushing it, right? Like maybe $550 you can do, right? But $600, that's huge for that's too much for people. I mean, look at the PSVR, right? I mean, the VR hasn't sold well. Like I mean, VR is a different market, but like it's a little too expensive for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the only way they get away with it is if they provide a viable alternative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, but I think the safe bet is PS5 is going to be like $400 base model and $500 for the Pro. I think that'd be the smart play. And you'll sell a lot more that way, I think. I mean, I'm not a marketing guy, but like I feel like you would sell more doing that because PS5 is so accessible now and it's selling like crazy that like I feel like it's better just to make it cheaper so you can sell more than rather because it's not like 3 years ago or 2 or 3 years ago where it was like hard to get and you had to make it expensive. It's like a premium product. Now that you can like get them out quick, I feel like it's better to make it a little cheaper. But that's just me.
You know, I think Jim Ryan would be foaming at the mouth at the concept of a phone style system where they release a new PlayStation every year, slightly upgraded.
That'd be weird and
it would be terrible.
That'd be terrible. That'd be so weird.
It would make me quit gaming altogether, probably.
Microsoft feels like a company that would do that more because they're more like PC mobile than Sony.
Maybe, yeah, sure. I mean,
but like Sony's getting that direction, so we'll see. But
I think I can see what you mean about like Microsoft feeling more in a position to do that. But yeah, I also think Jim Ryan's gonna follow that money.
Yeah, but the big question, right, for the future is like how good is streaming going to be? Like, is it like can you like play on any device and it runs really well, like it's native, like it's so good that it's like feels like it's native? That's the future of gaming. Like that's what it seems like it's going. That's the big question. Like, where are these consoles and these like what are these companies going to do like 15 years from now? Is it gonna be like what Stadia thought it was gonna be, where it's like, oh my god, I can play like God of War on my phone and it runs like incredible, like oh my god, like I can't even tell the difference. But we'll see. We're not there yet, obviously. I mean, I would say streaming plays mostly well, but it's not the same as native. Like, you don't see the ray tracing. It's a little janky. You can't play certain games. You can't play Call of Duty on your phone. There's just no way, right? Like, you would get destroyed in multiplayer in comparison to someone on their mouse and keyboard in native.
Well, yeah, not unless you start seeing people cutting about in public with Xbox controllers to hook up to their phones.
Yeah, so.
Which I don't know if I can see that.
I mean, like the handhelds are incredible, right? Like the Steam Deck and the Rogue Ally play like games incredibly well, right? Like my Rogue Ally is stronger than my series, is way stronger than the Series S alone, right? So it's like this Rogue Ally is stronger than like most people's PCs, I would imagine, because a lot of people have like low end PCs. So yeah, I think we pretty much hit everything. So let's move on to the last topic, which is Baldur's Gate 3. Now I will say I was the most hyped for this game. Like I've been talking about it all year, and it lives up to the hype. It absolutely lives up to the hype. I knew it was going to be because Baldur's Gate is always a great game series. It's a very PC audience, right? So if you didn't really grow up with PC gaming as much, you probably didn't play their first two. But like this game is absolutely incredible. Like it could be my game of the year if not for like Zelda. But it's going to be my top 3. Like I'd be shocked if it's not in my top 3. It does everything well. Like it has like a 94 on Metacritic or something like that. Last I checked. It does pretty much everything perfectly well. Every single person in the game has dialogue and voice acting. Like literally every NPC is voice acted. Like even like the children, the people in the background. Even if it's like one sentence, it's fully voiced. There's so much dialogue in this game. It's a very narrative game. The choices matter, like really matter. Like every decision you make can affect something later on. And everybody's gonna have a different playthrough, which I love. Like it's not like Telltale where it's like the fake choice system, but it always leads up to the same point. It doesn't really matter in the end. Or it's like Mass Effect 3 where you just get a different color. This game is like everything you do matters in this game. Every party member you have changes the story you have. Like you go back to camp and something will happen. Like you think you're gonna rest and like heal up, and then something happens. Like somebody in your party gets murdered by like another person in your party, right? I'm not gonna say what. I'm just saying like that can happen if you pick the wrong choice and you didn't roll the dice and persuade them to stop. You can actually someone gets murdered, right? Like the game constantly is throwing something at you. It feels like you're on a legitimate, real adventure that's dangerous. And I love that. Like, cause it is Baldur's Gate is Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it is. It's based on Dungeons and Dragons. It's like the 5th edition. It has the same, all the races and characters and monsters and all that locations. And it feels like a legitimate game of Dungeons and Dragons, right? It's like it feels like the dungeon master is running something, and you're going with the flow, right? And you're making choices that matter, and the game itself is the dungeon master. So Dory and I both played this game for 15 hours, right? And we're both having an amazing time. I mean, she can't put it down, and if I didn't have work, I wouldn't be able to put it down either.
I have not been living up to my partner duties today with Kim, suffice to say, and so tomorrow I am making it up to her by spending all day with her.
This game's like Zelda. It's like you can play like 3 hours and get very little place. Like you don't really get far sometimes. Like you're just walking around exploring a dungeon, and all of a sudden 3 hours goes by and you feel like you didn't really do much, but you had a blast not doing much. That's the appeal of Zelda as well. It's like
that's the appeal of Dungeons and Dragons.
It's the appeal of Dungeons and Dragons, right?
I wasn't like Seb. I never played 1 or 2. I did grow up with PC gaming a little bit, but I never played Baldur's Gate. I never played any of those CRPGs. Disco Elysium was the first ever CRPG I ever played, and I loved it. Of course, it's one of my favorite games of all time. One of the best games of all time, I would argue. So that set the stage for me getting more into into CRPG video games. I have Planescape. I have the other games from Larian. The what are they called? I can't remember what they're called. Divinity Original Sin games. And then I also have the Baldur's Gate games, Enhanced Edition. So yeah, I have those games. I haven't played them, so I never got around to like playing them and like really getting invested in the whole thing. But on the other side of things, I am into D&D. I've been playing D&D since 2019. I've been DMing since right before the pandemic started. So I have been DMing for a long time. I love D&D a lot. I actually today I was so into I was so into Baldur's Gate that I had a D&D game planned that my friend was DMing, and I played Baldur's Gate while I was playing D&D. So I was playing D&D while I was playing D&D. So if you couldn't be any fucking nerdier playing this game, there you go.
This is definitely a nerdy
excellent.
game for sure. This
Yes. This is a nerdy as fuck. The UI is very intimidating at first, but you can figure it out. If I can figure it out, anyone else can figure it out.
No,
it does take a little bit of time, though.
Have you played with the controller or with the mouse and keyboard?
I'm playing with mouse and keyboard.
I've been switching it up because sometimes like I want to get comfortable. I play with a controller too.
Yeah.
The controller UI is really good, in my opinion. Like this game's gonna run really well on PS5. It's gonna play great on PS5.
Nice.
I'm probably gonna rebuy this, like not like this year, but maybe like next year when I'm in the mood again. I'll rebuy it on PS5, and that way, and that time it'll be cheaper too. So.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever replay this just because it's such a long invested game, and I'll probably feel fairly satisfied. I have done some save scumming here and there. I've made a couple of choices that just didn't. Yeah, you have to with this kind of game. That just didn't pan out. You know, I tried to betray this high-level drow. It didn't work out for me. She ended up killing all my party members. Yeah. I tried to double cross her, and I killed almost all of her minions, and then she basically, her and the rest of the guys who were left, killed all my party members except for me. So yeah, I had to save scum. I had to go back to our conversation and be like, I'm just gonna kill you now, and that went a lot better. I fucking owned her. Yes. Actually, 1 second, just from that talk before you say anything.
Yep.
I want to say I had no idea about this, but I casted Cloud of Daggers on this wooden bridge that a couple of enemies were on, and I was aiming for the enemies. I wasn't aiming for the bridge.
I was gonna say that.
And and the bridge just. And both the enemies just insta died, and it was amazing because I didn't even intend that, didn't even think about it, but the game is smart enough to realize, like certain stuff would be destructible.
That's how I took her out. I lied to her and said, I'm gonna join with you, and she started walking away, and then she went over the bridge. I broke the bridge and killed her.
Fuck. Yeah. I mean, she's got some great stuff on her.
And then the other guy, the hobgoblin guy in the throne, I walked next to him and pushed him, and my guy has strength build, so I pushed him off the cliff and killed him instantly. So you can do strategic things like that. You can play any way you want.
Yeah, shoving is a really underrated tactic, and I got to start doing it more often.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a strength build. You got to have like a bigger build though. Like if you're like a mage,
my build is very dexterity focused. I'm a rogue. I'm a human.
I'm a fighter.
Come at me in the comments about how I'm boring, but I picked the human rogue. Yeah.
I'm using a mage build, but I feel like I wanted to play like a knight kind of character, so I have a drow fighter. I forget the name of it, but it's the knight. It's the one that has like magic too, though. Like he has magic and he can fight.
I'm definitely playing like the sleazeball with a heart of gold kind of thing. Like I do help people, and I'm generally a good person.
Yeah, I'm a good person too.
When it comes to the law and when it comes to rules and stuff like that, like if I find the rules unjust or the laws unjust or you guys are shitty, I'm just gonna steal your stuff or murder you or whatever. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I don't completely understand the hide mechanics. I kind of struggle with gaining advantage in the game. That's my big criticism as a rogue is it's a little tricky to get advantage. You've got to hide at the right time and the right way.
Yeah, it is tricky. Yeah.
Yeah. You can do flanking in D&D 5e, but you can't do it in Baldur's Gate, which sucks. Because that takes away an easy way to get advantage. Flanking is when you're. For those who don't know, when your ally's on one side of them and you're on the other, completely opposite. And so basically the idea is the enemy couldn't possibly be ready for both of you, so you get advantage. Advantage is rolling 2 dice, taking the higher. Sorry, throwing out a lot of words here.
I always have I forget how do you say his name? Astarion, the vampire guy. I always have him with me because he's a rogue. So you really have to have a rogue in this game. There's so many traps in this game. Yeah. So you have he can lockpick every door, and he went. And I always roll high numbers with his persuasion because he gets 3 sets of bonuses, and he gets a vampire bonus if you bite someone's neck. Yeah. So I feel like I'm always rolling high with him. So I use him for every time I have dialogue or opening doors.
I kicked him out of the party. He tried to eat me. And I'm already a rogue, so I didn't really. What's that?
I let him bite.
Oh,
my
you
neck.
let him?
Yeah, you don't.
Wow, that's
He gets a bonus, and you don't turn into a vampire or anything. You can't.
no, and I knew that. I was just like, no, you like tried. Maybe if you had asked me, I would have let you do it. But you tried to bite me without my consent. I'm like, I'm not. I don't know.
Although to be fair, I knew that was gonna happen because I saw that scene before. But so
okay, but I was more into Will anyway. I'm actually trying to romance him currently, so it's going great for me.
Are you playing a male character, a female character, or like non-binary? Like, what are you playing?
Non-binary, but with a femme kind of presentation, which is, I mean, that's me. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I almost always do self-insert in RPGs.
Sure.
Especially the first time I play them. I have a hard time doing anything else, honestly. I mean, yeah.
You can romance, James. You can romance any character basically, and like you can be gay, straight, anything you want, bisexual. You play any. You can role play any way you want.
Yeah.
I
feel so boring because I've gone with. Well, I guess it's not really the straight option because I'm non-binary, but you know what I mean. Like because I've got the femme presentation, I feel like I should gay it up a little. But there's not really so far anyway. Besides Shadowheart, I'm not really into like the other female option. But I don't know. I haven't even gotten to the titular Baldur's Gate. It's been 15 hours. I have not gotten to Baldur's Gate yet, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It shows how expansive this flipping world is.
Absolutely. I've been romancing Shadowheart. I was at I had a choice of romancing. I forget the black guy's name. I'm totally blanking on his name. Will, right? I easily could have been a gay couple with him. Like there was a lot of flirting going on. But I didn't really. I've been using him a lot, but I don't feel like a romance with him. And I feel like the choice I made my character gay, and it didn't feel like it fit. So I made sure I stayed before that. And I wanted to be with Shadowheart more because I felt like I've been with her a lot more. I don't mind my character being gay, but it's just like I wasn't with him like enough for like where there was like a narrative there. So
I mean, for me, it ruled because when he showed up the first time in battle, when you're going to the Emerald Grove, he just kicked everybody's ass, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that guy? I want to talk to that guy."
Yeah, he's a really cool character.
And then I met. Yeah, he's a really cool character. You can definitely say he's a bit of a goody two shoes, but I mean, like his heart's in the right place, and he's a great warlock build. There's really you can't go wrong with him. His Cloud of Daggers is so useful. It's helped me in so many situations.
Yes. I you know what? I don't think he's in my party right now. Because I got the devil lady. Have you got her yet?
No. Where did you get her?
It's in the map where like the where he is, like on the left side, like you go upper middle of that map. So like there's like a quest you get in that area, and it's about like this devil lady, and they kind of make her like a bad guy, but she's not. And you can recruit her. She's a berserker. So I have her, and she's like on fire all the time.
Shit.
She's kind of like Hellboy.
I already finished Emerald Grove. Does that mean I can't get her anymore? Or maybe I can get her when I go to Baldur.
Of course you can. You probably have the quest. You don't realize it. Her name starts like a K.
Maybe.
I have to look it up, but she's
okay. Yeah, let DM me about it because I'm curious.
For sure. Now, I had I always like to have a balance, but right now I have 2 strength builds because I feel like the mage guy was always getting killed. And he was just too squishy for me, and I just didn't feel like I was getting the most out of him. So I have like 2 strength builds. I have a cleric. I have Shadowheart because she heals, and then I have Asterion, who's like a rogue. So I have him as a sharpshooter. So I have a range character, a healer, and 2 like tanks basically. So that's been serving me well.
Yeah, I have the Githyanki character. I think her name's Zalot or something. And she is the fighter and also a little bit of the tank. I gave her the tough feet. That gives her more health.
Oh, the orc lady? She's not even an orc, right? She's like... Is that what you're talking
about? No, she's Githyanki. She's not... I guess she looked a little orcish. But
she's like the green lady, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, green lady. Yeah.
Okay.
But she's the fighter, and so she's the big DPS. Yeah. And then
she hates me.
I stay into the shadows and I try to go to the sneak attack.
Yeah.
She's not very likable. But she's not supposed to be. She's Githyanki, and Githyanki are very.
Well, she hates me because I always kick her out of the party because she doesn't like because she's a fighter and I'm a fighter, so it doesn't. There's no point of having us both.
Yeah, that's what happens with me and Asterion. But anyway, and then Will is kind of like he can kind of jack of all trades. He can be there in the middle, but he can also do like I have him for like group spells like Cloud of Daggers or Burning Hands and stuff like that. And then Shadowheart is like for healing and then also for buffs. And yeah, that's pretty much our party. It's been working out pretty well. Like I said, I killed the drow pretty easily. I killed the priestess pretty easily, and I killed the hobgoblin pretty easily because I pretty much got in there, and I just all four of us wailed on him at the same time at level 3 or 4, and just killed him in like 2 rounds, I think. So it was great.
So you completed like the whole goblin place, basically.
Yeah, I just finished the whole goblin kind of quest line.
Did you?
And now we're gonna go to the towers, the Moonrise Towers.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out where to go.
I gotta find that devil lady though, because that sounds like a good. I don't know how I missed that quest. I must have missed it.
Yeah, I don't remember where I found it, but yeah, she's a really awesome. She's one of my favorite characters in the game. Now, in the goblin section, did you like fight everybody, or did you like? How did you handle that? Because in the goblin party, right? Like, first of all, one of the so this is what I love about this game, right? Is that like your race really changes how everybody reacts to you. Because I'm a drow, which is a dark elf, so everybody has like is racist towards me because dark elves are notoriously like serve like an evil god and they like look down on people and things like that. And so when people look at me, they think I'm like evil, but it comes in handy for like to be clear, there's 2 types of drows. There's the good ones and the bad ones. But the one I'm the good one. And but like the cool thing is like I can go in the goblin section and I didn't have to persuade them. There's an option that just said drow, and the goblins just let me go by them. Like they said, oh god, because the goblins serve like the drow lady, like the Dory was talking about. So I was able to just to like walk into the goblin place and without having to do all these persuasion checks and everything like that. So it's really cool like how like the whole dynamic of the story changes depending on what race you are, what class you are. You get like a lot more options depending on what you do, and it's really really awesome. And like the goblin party, for example, right? You could fight them all, right? But like that would be really hard. But what I did, right? Like I turned invisible and I poisoned their drink, and the entire crowd died because they were all drinking the poison. So I wiped out all the goblins in the front. That made the job way easier. And then I killed the rest myself because it wasn't that much. And then like I basically took on the entire inside once I pushed the hobgoblin guy off the cliff, everybody aggroed. But it was very manageable though because I could pick up like one piece at a time. And there was like spiders in the bottom too, so you can push the people into the spiders, and the spiders help you.
Wow, that sounds way easier than what I did, which is that I fought all of them. And I swear to God, I'm a decent dungeon master and player. But yeah, so for me, I talked my way in because I have a rogue build. I deceived them into thinking that I was able to meet with the head guy. So I got all the intel. I talked to the drow. And what I did was I isolated everybody section by section by section. So that's how I took them down dungeon-wise. I didn't take them all at once. I took them manageable section by manageable section. So I took out the drow lady and the few followers right there. And then I took out the priestess and a couple of her followers there. Then I took on the hobgoblin. And I made sure to take long rests in between. So I was always ready. I was always good. But yeah, poisoning everybody would have been great too. And I did also... At one point, I figured out a secret entrance to the goblin hideout, so I started attacking from above, too. So I did a little bit of sneaking around, and a little bit of surprise attacks, and a little bit of, attacking from the high ground, as Obi-Wan says. So I did do a little bit of strategy, but overall, like, it was very, like, seclude, kill.
And you rescued the druid guy.
Which is its own strategy.
And you rescued the druid guy and the bard guy there, too, as well, right?
Yes, I rescued Volo. Volo Thamp is very famous. Actually, I killed him in one of my campaigns, which was fun. I, as the DM, got him killed in a murder mystery thing. It was very fun. And then Volo Thamp, and then yes, I also freed the prisoner. I didn't free the bard, but once I killed all the leaders, it didn't matter. He escaped. So you meet him back at the Emerald Grove, and then you all party and stuff. And that's
he's in my camp.
That was great.
So he wants to he wants to put an ice pick in my eye, and I save my game and let him do it just to see what happened, and then he fucks up your eye and you don't get anything out of it. Spoiler.
Oh, Volo? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I knew that. I
Yeah.
knew that. I was like,
But,
I love you, Volo. Absolutely do not trust you in this circumstance.
did you go to the swamp place with the hag yet?
No.
Okay, so it's not like a spoiler because you can go any direction you want, but there's a section
can
with
go anywhere you want.
a hag. So
Yeah.
so
That's pretty
it's
cool.
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So there's another awesome thing is like always like be very perspective. Okay, so word like perceptive like of your surroundings because it's not always what it seems. Like especially that swamp area, you'll see. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Like if you roll the dice or your character has high perception, he'll notice like, oh, something's not right here, and it changes the whole game. But if your character doesn't have perception, it goes right over your head and you fall for whatever happens. So like I said, everybody's story is going to be different depending on what you do. James, do you have any interest in this game? Why we've been nerdy for like half an hour?
No, yeah, look, I definitely have interest in it after hearing the rave reviews and everything you guys are saying about it. Just like the choice, just the depth of choice, sounds incredible.
The best part of the
totally
game.
unique.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to ask you guys about it, but
I think we pretty much
Well,
hit out everything.
I want to comment on a couple things we haven't talked about. The music, absolutely incredible. I've already been humming the main theme, which they have a couple of variations on. It's really, really fun. Not only that, but the sound effects and the echoes of voices in caves and the ways that people whisper when you're hiding. Just all these little touches here and there it just shows how much Larian really cared about this project. It's fun too because I briefly ran a Descent into Avernus campaign, which for those who don't know is very much involves Baldur's Gate. Now I didn't get super far, but I do know some of the things that they're talking about because I ran that campaign. So when they say stuff about, the Elf Song Tavern, or they're talking about the Flaming Fists or whatever, I'm like, I know who that is. I know what they're talking about. You don't have to know any of that stuff, by the way, to enjoy the game. But I know what they're doing, and I know what they're talking about. So for me, it's a little bit more enjoyment. I know what El Terrell is. I know what happened to it. I know what happened with Descent into Avernus and the whole setup there. This is actually post Descent into Avernus, which is very cool. So anyway, yeah, I love this game a lot. I'm not a big turn-based person. We've talked about that before on the podcast, but I love D&D 5e. This is just D&D 5e on a really, really good, and I mean this as respectfully as possible, a really, really good virtual tabletop system that you might find online. Except you would never find such a detailed, such a well put together, such a high-level graphical and musical masterpiece that you've gotten from Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, I know there's whole discourse about, how much your time is worth or whatever. This game is so worth the $60. The quality in the first 15 hours alone for me justifies the $60 that I spent on it. It's just phenomenal.
Absolutely. I mean, no, we haven't done the visuals yet. I'm playing on a 4080, so I'm playing on ultra settings and everything. This game is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Like, it is so... I mean, and I also have the advantage. I have like a OLED ultra wide monitor. Wow, is this game gorgeous? But what's insane about this game is how well it looks on a lower end or mid PC and on a handheld. It plays fantastic on my Rogue Ally. So it's very accessible for like all specs pretty much, unless your computer's like from 1995 or something. But for the most part, it's not like Cyberpunk where you have to play like you have to have like a really at least a solid game, a solid build to get like a decent game out of this. It's very accessible but it can also hit the ultra. I'm blown away by the visuals. But as much as we've been praising this game, you have to know what you're getting into because this game is like a strategic, over top view, asymmetric kind of game, right? It's not like a third person fighting game. Like it's not an action game. You have to know what you get into. There's the UI, there's a lot of buttons to click, and It's very much like an RPG. I mean, it's the definition of an RPG, right? And if you don't expect like an action game, this is a very narrative, dialogue heavy, with a lot of all voices, but dialogue heavy, choice based game with like a lot of UI, a lot of skill trees, all that stuff. Like this is a game you get totally engrossed in, like with the role playing, what kind of build you want. I mean, there's so many spells if you have like a mage, just like fire, ice, this and that, poison. You can play any way you want, but you have to like sit there for like 20 minutes and look at what you want to build. And it's like if you're going in expecting like Uncharted or like God of War or something, look at the skill trees are very well. God of War in case very basic skill tree. It's not this. This game is like hardcore as you can get for role playing. So, as much as I praise this game, you have to know what you're getting into, right? Like, because some people might find like get part of the praise and they're like, this is not for me. So I recommend trying out the UI. Like I said, it runs really well on a controller. If you hit your controller like a button on your controller, it shifts like immediately. Like it's really cool how the UI just shifts. So if I touch my mouse and keyboard, it automatically knows mouse and keyboard, and it looks a lot different. But so it's really cool in that way. So my criticism of the game so far, not big ones, just minor, but very annoying. For some reason, Steam keeps trying to save with the cloud, and then when that happens, I can't save my game, and and it's been happening not frequently, but like enough where it's annoying to me. And it sometimes it will be doing that for like 20 minutes. So I can't save for 20 minutes. So there's parts where I had to go back. I had to repeat because it wouldn't let me save. And it's frustrating as hell. So in this game, I save like literally everything I do. I go in front of a door, save. And because I don't want to waste any lockpicking. And just in case I get a bad roll. Because if you get like a 1, you fail. You automatically fail. So there's certain things, right? Like I know it's cheating, but like I don't want like a really bad scenario because I rolled the wrong dice. It is what it is. Like I'd rather tell the story I want.
That's what I did when the 2 party members were about to kill each other too. I saved right before it. I'm like I literally couldn't have won against the goblins if I lost another party member. And of course at the time I didn't know what a berserk. But yeah, I mean so I just wasn't going to let that happen. I'm like, I don't care if some people consider it cheating. For me, if it was considered cheating, the creators of the game wouldn't make it so damn easy to do. They obviously know that you're going to want to save scum. I don't even like that name because it's not a scummy thing to do. You're just trying not to waste your time. You're trying to make sure you're valuing your time correctly.
I did the same thing in Skyrim. I always do.
I have a couple minor criticisms. Sometimes it can be really tedious moving things around, and it can, especially if you're trading a lot of items or selling a lot of items or trying to.
It's a little annoying. The inventory system is not great. Yeah.
Yeah. And it can be frustrating. Sometimes I got lost. I didn't know where the fuck I was supposed to go, or I knew like the general direction, but not exactly how to get there, and the map just wasn't the friendliest.
Yeah, that's my other criticism as well.
It's super easy to figure out where to go. If you can't figure it out, there's guides all over the place. That we have the internet now. This isn't Baldur's Gate 1 or 2 where the internet was in its infancy / didn't exist.
Yeah, my problem with the game, I get lost. Like I don't know where to go.
Yes.
Like right now, I don't know where to go. Like I have like a general idea, but I'm trying to figure out how to get there. And yeah, this is a game you have to like look it up. Like it feels like Elden Ring, where I'm like, I have a general idea where to go, but I'm kind of like I need this help. Which I don't mind. Like I use guides every game I play. It's just how I play. I'm a trophy hunter, so that's just something I'm used to. I know that it hurts other people's gameplay, but you play however you want to play, right? I don't care what other people think. So yeah, I get lost with this game sometimes. Like, cause sometimes it says go to the marker, and I go to the marker, and like I don't see how to cross the water. Like I don't see where to climb up, or I'm like, where the hell do I go? So, but I'm getting better at that because I realize you can jump across the water and things like that. You
gotta think very vertically in this game sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. So you gotta think. It's like Tears of the Kingdom, that you have to think, how am I gonna tackle this obstacle? That's what I love about Tears of the Kingdom, and It's like you come up with these creative things that like you wouldn't think of, right? Like there's so many options of a way to tackle something. So like I said, everybody has a different playthrough. So I think everybody's gonna have a different story and a different enjoyment from the game. So, what else? What else did we hit on? I think that's pretty.
And that's most of it. Yeah, I mean, I just want to echo what Seb said earlier. Know what you're getting yourself into. This is a 70+ hour game. This is very intense. This is very an engrossing game. Say goodbye to your loved ones. People may break up with you. Kim, please don't leave me. You know, etc., etc. This is a big game, and I don't usually play games like that. But I've already put 15 hours in. I only downloaded it Thursday. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say too, you don't have to have the best equipment, right? I know the Xbox Series S can't run it or whatever, but my gaming laptop is not the best equipment. It's not bad or anything like that, right? It's got full HD, Intel Core i5, NVIDIA GeForce, whatever. But it's still not like top of the line or anything like that. It runs Baldur's Gate perfectly.
Do you know your video card?
Like,
like on top of your head for that laptop?
No, not off the top of my head. But I have like a NVIDIA GeForce RTX, Intel Core i5.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
it's a
CPU.
Nitro.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't fucking know. But
I got you.
the beeps and the boops, they work well, Steph. That's what I know. The beeps and the boops.
I know. I'm just
they work
asking because,
well.
like, if you,
Yeah.
because the number you would say, I would know, like, if it's mid or low or whatever, just to get so the audience
Right.
gets a sense of like what you're playing on. But it doesn't really.
Yeah. But I just wanted to say that, like, you know, my PC is not really the best.
Plus, you're playing with
let's see.
their laptop has 8 gigabytes, correct? So.
Yeah.
So that's even
Let's
so it
see.
runs well on an 8 gigabyte system, right? Because a lot of games nowadays need
Yes,
16.
it's got custom settings and stuff like that. I know the processor.
It's an
let's
i5,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, it's an i5, 250 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Just looking to see if I can find. What were you talking about? The graphics process? What was it?
Yeah, what NVIDIA is it? What GeForce? Like what RX what?
Oh.
That will tell you how like what low or mid or whatever it is your computer is. But while you're doing that, now this game is very adult, swearing, a lot of sex, full on nudity. It's cyberpunk. Like you can customize genitals. There's sex scenes. There's drinking. There's a lot. This is a very adult game, right? Like there's full on sex scenes, and now always with just with people, like animals, monsters. There's a scene where like ogres have sex. I haven't got there, but I've seen it. I saw the bear scene. If you saw that on Twitter, there's a lot of pansexual characters in this game. Like there's a lot of sexuality. There's a lot of mention of. It's not like everywhere you look, but it's like it's there, right? It's a very adult game. So, I mean, that doesn't. We're all adults. That doesn't matter. But if like other people, like your kid is playing it. I could probably handle it when I was like 15 or whatever, but just so you know, it is like it doesn't pull any punches, full on nudity. Now there is a setting to turn it off if you really don't want to see that, but it's there. Okay, so yeah. What else? But like, I think that's pretty much it. Dory, did you find it? I don't know what else more to
No,
say.
I have no idea where to look. I looked up graphic settings. I still couldn't find the information.
Now, Lord help you if you're interested in Starfield and you're waiting for the PS5 version and it comes out the same day as Starfield. I don't know how you're gonna balance the two. I was going to get it on PS5 because that's my main platform, but it was like I can't play both at the same time. One of them is gonna get ruined, like, my enjoyment, because I'm gonna be too busy trying to focus work. And then those 2 games. So it was better to have like a month to play this game, get it beat, right? And then have nothing on my plate for Starfield. So I think that's the better move, but that's just me. It has every platform. But if you're on a PS5 and you're interested in the PS5 version, like I said, it runs really well on on like pretty decent PCs. It's gonna run really well on PS5, I think. And the controller UI is really good in my opinion. I was really impressed with the controller UI, so I think it's gonna be very accessible. It's not like one of those it's not like Disco Elysium where like you could tell it was made for the computer, and then the gameplay was like a cursor with the controller is annoying. In this game, it's very much so built for a controller. So it's really cool, like Diablo 3 is. So I recommend it, James. Like if you want to play on PS5, I don't know if you what would you prefer to play it on?
Probably PS5.
Yeah,
I think I'll probably, if I do pick it up, it'll be on PS5 after Starfield and all that have been out.
Okay, are you gonna play Starfield? Like, are you interested in the Starfield?
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's going to be on Game Pass, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what I have is like it says version 536.67 for the GeoForce.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's not a thing, but it's fine. You know, we can tell me
Yeah,
after.
yeah. I don't know what the hell it is. My PC's not giving up its secrets. But but yeah, I mean, if my PC can run it, yours can is my main thing.
Yeah, that's why I only
don't have
asked you,
much
because you give people a specific number just so they know. Like what?
Yeah.
That's not even your main
maybe
laptop.
tell me find it afterwards because I'd like to know.
Because it's gonna run even better on when you get your 16 gigabyte laptop. So.
Yep.
So yeah, very accessible. That's everything. So we can wrap it up now because we hit on perfect timing. So thank you for watching. Now before we go, I want to say I'm going to start doing like an episode in between the main ones where I get like one person and we can talk about any topic. I can't I'm not going to guarantee it's going to be every week because sometimes I'm not going to feel like doing it, or I'm busy, or other people are busy, or whatever. It's going to be something like we all want to do, but they're gonna and we don't have to record on Saturdays, but we can record on a different day, and then I'm always going to put it on Saturday no matter what though. So even if we record like Tuesday, I'll put it on Saturday. So I keep it consistent. So we're going to have a little more content. So we're going to have a theme, right? So like Mitch and I are going to do an episode next week. It's going to be about horror games. And then like I know next month Mitch and I are gonna be able to talk about like trophy hunting, the art of like trophy hunter, and then like I can talk about like Kingdom Hearts with Dory, whatever, right? And I can talk about movies with James. So I think it's cool that we can have more content. So expect that those episodes are not going to be like 2 or 3 hours long. They're gonna be like an hour, 90 minutes. So they're like mini episodes, but I'm still gonna label them the same. Like, it's still gonna be episode 21, 22, things like that.
Nice.
Just so it feels consistent. All right, so you all have a good night. Thanks for joining me. Peace.
Yep.
Play Baldur's Gate 3.
Bye.
Bye.
Play Baldur's Gate 3.